Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Mary Sky Riddley's video blog of Mary Sky. So, I was playing my game and I got some emails that came in from my YouTubers who messaged me and they said, "Boss, you need to talk about grocery pricing and how we, as in a unit, can cut down the price of food or um, whatever." But we're also going to talk about food shortages coming up, possibly due to the rail strike that's looming. Currently, it is 2:12 p.m. Eastern Time. It's 11:12 a.m. Pacific, and at 9:01 p.m. Eastern Time, or sorry, Pacific Time tomorrow morning. Tomorrow night, I should say, was tomorrow night is when they all go into strike mode. So while I'm here talking to you about that, I decided it was time that I get on to tell you about some ideas on grocery spending. Because a lot of you are complaining, groceries are high. We're not addressing the grocery issue besides the prepping issue. The prepping issue is a lot of people can't afford prepping, and people are like, a lot of people can't afford the prepping, so if we can't afford the prepping, then what's the point? Well, good point. You make a good point. So, while we're here today, all of us together, we're going to talk about I have a funny side, a humorous side. I try to bring humor into stuff, but sometimes humor is not needed. Sometimes tough love isn't needed. Sometimes it's good old-fashioned truth that's needed. And as everyone knows, the truth is we all need good old-fashioned humor. But we also need good old-fashioned truth. So this was a hard video to come to muster because you all need to listen carefully. Besides prepping, you're going to need to divide your foods up. Half for prepping, half for groceries. Now, a lot of you say to me, "Oh, well, the milk, the eggs, the butter, the milk, the eggs, the butter, the fabric softener." Home Alone. Trying to be serious here. The milk, everything that's essential is going to go up. Now, the way you could cut corners in the life of being a prepper and someone who's poor like me, I can tell you exactly how you cut corners. One, buy your groceries weekly. That's right. If you have one person in your household, buy for one. If you have two people in your household, buy for two. A lot of you have messaged me and saying, well, groceries are getting too expensive. Well, let me put it to you this way. There's something else looming. So today I was minding my own business. I try to stay quiet, as you all know, because I'm a nice girl for the most part. I also try to stay quiet on other issues, which I can't because, it's not my nature to be like the Queen of England, no offense to Tone, and sit there and then all of a sudden gotta stay quiet. And people say, why do you gotta stay quiet? How would you feel, my fellow YouTubers, if I was like the Queen of England, something happened, but I didn't address the issue. I didn't sit there and say, well, it's not our problem. Well, I'm one of those, honestly, that speaks the truth, but I also pony up to my own mistakes too. I won't basically not pony up to my mistakes, all right? So while you guys sit there and say, okay, so basically, we all make mistakes in life. We can limit your mistakes by using that as an experience, not to do it again. But at the same time, you also got to realize that sometimes when you are shopping, I love how this thing says, do you want to know the notes of your newest updated program? No, I don't. See? And then Higgins, he always jokes with me like, oh, really? The computer's asking you if you want to know what's new? I don't care what's new. As long as it works for me, I don't care. You see? However, truthfully, we do care. I just don't care about that, though. But a lot of you have asked me, out of love for you guys, you say to me, so a lot of people out there, I'm a game collector, okay? Everyone knows this. And people say to me, oh well, I'll just have this game, and I will collect this game and I'll pay $10 for it. It'll be worth $900. Some idiot will pay $900 and I can go buy groceries. Doesn't work that way. So if you're sitting on a game that worth this $10,000 and only, and other people are sitting on games of that expense, they're not going to be able to sell because everyone's going to be trying to piddle everything they have cheaply to buy groceries. Again, it's all about survival. And so one of the things I'd recommend in my seriousness, by the way, this is my serious look, not joking, not having fun, but serious. We're coming down to the wire. All right. If the railroads don't make a deal, a lot of people might go hungry. A lot of people might die. And you could sit there and say, oh, well, thing is, the way I see it like this. When people die, they die. Government doesn't care. Think of the Queen of England. If 500,000 people under her watch died because of starvation, because she could have prevented and said she stayed quiet, federal government sitting there sticking it under their nose. Yet the Republicans want to sit there and say, oh, we're going to help Congress act. Has anyone ever thought that Congress maybe doesn't want to act due to the fact they want you guys to go hungry? They want people to go communist. Yeah. They don't care. It's like Joey said, Nancy the fucking boozer Pelosi and the fucking Trump dump. Yeah. Right now, look at Donald Trump. He's not much in the news. Now, I saw something today as I was loading up YouTube. Again, FBI is doing this and that. I don't care. What I care for right now is you, the preppers. You're the people that are my friends. Prepping away. Make sure you survive. Because when you survive, I know I've gotten success by making sure you guys survive. I mean, look, people sit there and say, well, what about the groceries? What groceries? Is there a grocery thing? I didn't see any grocery thing. But I'm getting emails now from all courses of the quadrant. People ask me specifically about groceries. And the groceries are what happens. And that is what do you do to survive? Well, let's break it down for some of you, okay? The newest information coming out that is that the Federal Reserve keeps spiking. I call it spiking, raising the rates from 3/4 of a point interest rate, which they're talking, to a full percentage. And it could do two things. It could cripple the housing market, which means we would have a worse housing market since 2008, 2007, 2008. It would cripple, mind you, cripple people to borrow. Without borrowing, companies can't sell wares and stuff. It would cripple the Fannies and the Higgins and the Zoes of the world when they can't get credit. Not that we all need credit anyway. We people shouldn't have, my opinion is better not to have credit than to have credit, right? But anyways, it just cripples it. And on top of this, because people aren't going to work, that's going to cripple the entire country. Seriously. Think of it from this point of view. You got the housing bubble lurching, look at it pop because they keep raising interest rates, which will bring down prices in housing, which was people like Pee-wee, Sister Pee-wee's going to lose her house, or not lose her house, but if it's a fixed rate, she's fine. But if it's a non-fixed rate, and interest rates go up and down, up and down. Oh, this month your interest rates are going, so then you're paying more, right? Say my family doesn't have a fixed interest rate in their house in Texas, but it's a variable. You think that's going to help people? No. Yet the pricings will go up or down. Then, on top of that, people say, well, it doesn't, the housing market doesn't affect me because of it. Yeah, it does. Think of it. If you don't own a home, you're in an apartment. Apartment is like real estate. Those prices could pop, and then, the people that invest in the apartment complex, the owners, lose money. I mean, it doesn't just sit there and say, oh, well, it doesn't affect me, so I'm not, it doesn't bother me one bit. Think of it. It does. Eventually, neighborhoods become scum the scum of the scum of the area neighborhoods because they're run down because the owner doesn't give two craps because her land went down $400,000 because of the housing bubble. Not to mention if they keep raising the interest rates, that could cripple the stock market. And a lot of the stock market is based on the bear market or the commodities markets. So, when farmers sit there and say, well, we had the avian flu, And that affected our turkeys and our chickens and our livestock. Same some of the ducks. No, we're not going to poke the duck. Okay, I've already upset the duck. Hopefully, hope and God help us all that the duck comes back. Okay. But on a serious note here, this is serious. If the housing bubble blows, the stock market will drop because the stock market can't hold itself when no one's buying new houses. It'd be like Sister Zoe being stuck in Chicago for the next 30 years because the entire, let's just say she owns a condo or a high rise condo. All of a sudden, say it's worth $6 million, hypothetically, and all of a sudden it drops down to two or less, maybe even $1 million. She just lost $5 million because of her beautiful view out her window. Why? Well, let's see. Because the entire thing fell right from under her because the Fed Reserve wants hard, tough decisions. They want to follow Volcker in this 81, which raises it high enough up to slow down inflation. Inflation, they wanted to slow it down before the election because they don't want a recession. Now, Zoe asked the other day in comments, well, what happens with a recession? And, well, like I said before, they're hiding the recession. So you and me and everyone else, they don't use the word, Zoe, because they don't want to use it until after the election. If they use it before the election, the Republicans might use it against them. So what are they doing? They're basically mopping it up, saying there's nothing wrong, you know. Truth is in the pudding, you know. The truth is in the pudding. There you go. There's some of you out there. Yeah. Just to share that with you all. You know, they're going to do whatever they have to protect the people. And to do that, they're going to protect the election. But what happens for you from now until election? How do you survive? How do you live? How do you cope? That's where I come in today. You see, this has been bothering me for a while. All right. Now, first of all, I'm going to give you 3 tips. Okay, 3. But you're going to have to give me a moment because I got to use the restroom. And then I'm going to give you exactly the tips you need to get through this problem. First tip, make a budget. Make a budget. Second tip, use online stores or not to buy your groceries. Now, if you have food stamps, Amazon takes it. Everyone knows I preach that. But let's just say you don't have food stamps. Keep pricing your groceries out. For example, today's tip for you all is, how do I say it? Is if your local grocery store has ads, like I'm looking at going to go look at 2, Chloe didn't get 2 Safeway, so they changed it this morning. So currently there's chicken breasts, beef tenderloins, and Johnsonville Brody brats. So Brody brats are 2 for $8. So if you could take your bratwurst, which just to remind you, okay, I'm not going to be using the grocery stores here because of the meat problem, okay? Little Smokies expired. Does anyone ring a bell? How I was sitting on the toilet. So you have to look at everything, including So you got breakfast sausages and premium brats. Okay, I like premium brats, so I can tell Chloe, give me 2 packs of premium brats. That's 2 dinners, $8. Breakfast sausages, I can fry up some breakfast sausages, but since I, God forbid, uh, that something happens to me, I've had my sausage intake for the next 6 months, give or take, because I ate a whole bunch of sausage today for breakfast. Thanks, Chloe, going out. So honestly, you cut these sausages out. Now, the bratwurst, that's good as long as they're not expired, you see. Then you go down the list here and you see, for example, purified water. See, you can get $6.99, $7 right now. It used to be $2.99. Safeway used to sell it for $1.99 for 24 bottles, but now it is $7 for 24 bottles. So take that to the bank for some of you preppers out there. Your water is available, but they always limit one per week. I don't know how they tell if you got one per week. But anyways, then you got Marie Calendar cream pies and stuff, and then you have frozen entries and etc. So, for example, do I see anything this week in this week's ad? No. So I go over to the other store, and then I look there, and then we're done. See? So you go here, and it says family-sized potato chips. As long as it ain't made with sea salt, I can see myself buying those. I like Tim's Cascade chips. Last time I sent Chloe out, she couldn't find original chips, jokingly, of course. But you also got to ask yourself also, too, on this, okay? When I say, okay, this is my serious side, okay? I'm not going to sit here and basically be funny today, literally. I'm literally serious. We're getting down to the wire, okay, for the deadline for the train strike, which could cause oil shortages, motor vehicles won't move, food shortages, and part shortages. So, honestly, I'm here to tell you we got to prep, and we got to prep soon. Now, for some of you out there that sit there and says, oh, you say, mine, Tim's Cascade potato chips. Let's just put it this way, okay? I could use a bag of Tim's Cascade potato chips, but truth is, all right, here's the kicker. You got to ask yourself, do you want to put that $5 to that bag of chips, which is all eaten in one setting? It took me like 6 settings for a family-sized bag of Doritos, but Doritos was $8 almost, as I was telling Tone. $8. So you got to ask yourself in this day and age, what are you willing to cut out? Let's see. This week we got tri-tip steak or roast. Now, as everyone knows, I'm going to use the duck quack quack as a example. She loves steak, but could she afford steak all the time? She'd have to say, well, once a month's fine, but twice a month pushing it, could be, but still, when you see this stuff like tri-tip or roast, I won't buy it. I refuse to buy that. Pork boneless loin roast. Refuse to buy a pork roast. Might be on sale, but I'm too damn lazy to cook it. Plus the fact that, people say to me, oh, well, look, there's a $2.98 pork. Well, we'll get to the pork thing in a minute, But anyways, I'm not here to go poke the duck, okay? I'm saying, for example, the duck, you would look at those $7.98 for tri-tip steaks and being like, what's tri-tip? Googling it and be like, oh, it's cheap cut of steak, But I won't eat those. Because I'm very picky. This here, Tillamook, half gallon of ice cream, $4.68, for example. I won't buy ice cream either. Marie Calendar select pot pies, $3.48 for a pot pie. Last time I bought a 4-pack of pot pies, which by the way, Marie Calendar sucks. Thanks to Chris saying pot pies are comfort food. Yeah. For some, but how much are you willing to sacrifice to live? How much are you willing to sacrifice to survive? I'm not talking about Chris in general. I'm talking about you, the people. I know mac and cheese is my comfort food. Everyone knows that. And Salisbury steak. So if you look down the list, right, it says organic whole fryers, all right, $3.48 a pound. So if you're basically buying a 5-pound whole chicken, No offense to the duck, quack, quack. You know, you got to ask, are you willing to pay $18 off the top of your money? Let's just do it this way, okay? Is anyone here on YouTube that's following me? Are you willing to part with a little with a $20 bill and get some change back for a whole chicken? Back in the day, the chickens were 79 cents a pound. Think of it, $3.48 now. Some see Alaskan salmon burger, selected beer, juice pouches, seedless grapes. I mean, literally, grapes used to be like, what? 3 pounds of grapes, 99 cents. Now it's $3 a pound. I mean, I could use a pot pie, but still, let's just go over this ad. I haven't even taken Safeway as an example. I'll load Safeway up, though, because I'm making a point here. All right. So let's go over to the first store, King's. King's, this is Ducky at your local King's Market. Clean up an aisle, Nancy, the fucking boozer Pelosi, and the fucking Trump dump. See, I got it right for once. Love that voice when she says it. She's got a great voice. All right. So, for example, looking at their online app, this is what they have, right? Beef tenderloin roast sold in a bag, $16. So they're going to charge you $80 for 5 pounds. So let's see, 16, 32, 64, 74. Yeah, like $85 right there for a tenderloin. You want to pay $85 for 5 pounds of meat that can feed your family if it's a family of 5, 1 pound each of meat? Nope. Pork tenderloins, $3.99 twin packs. $3.99 a pound. So they're giving you twin packs. So each pork tenderloin is like what? $9 a tenderloin or higher. So you do 18 to 24. That's a $20 bill. Chicken breasts. They usually give you $3.50. So every time they do boneless, southern grown chicken breast, boneless, skinless, you're paying $3.50, right? So they give you 5 pounds. So let's see, $3.50, $7.14. You're looking at maybe about a $20 bill. So you got to ask yourself, are you willing to part with $5? I mean, you're gonna have to basically break it down and put it in Ziploc bags, which means buying Ziploc bags, right? 9 ounces, 2 for $5 on shaved lunch meat. If you like to eat sandwiches. Brats, 2 for $8. So you get 2 5-count brats for $8. And then the other things here, 4 for $5 for red bell peppers, 4 for $5. Broccoli crowns, $2.50 a pound. Zucchini, $1.70. Kale, 2 for $5. Romaine lettuce or hearts of romaine, $3.50. Sweet mangoes, 2 for $3. I mean, you go down the list, and if you're not going to eat this stuff, don't buy it. That's one of the tips. Like Pepsi products, $7 for a 12-pack. I remember it was $5 for a Pepsi cube, the old cubes, they say, the Pepsi cubes. Being seriously here. Salsa, $4 for a jar of salsa. Chips, look at this. Frito or Cheetos is $4 for just a small 7-ounce bag. Steakhouse dressings, $3.50 on sale. I mean, you got to look at the ads closely. And then, you got your cake mix, 2 for $4. Sugars, 4 pounds, $4. Like I said, canola oil is $5 on sale, And then you got like tropical fruit punch, sweet cream butter is $5 for a pound on sale. So think of it, your butter is on sale too. Yeah, and this is just the tip. And then you skip this stuff, which is booze. We skip the booze, we'll be fine. We don't even think about booze. Next up is the second store, the one the locals go to over the tourists. Again, tri-tip steak, not interested. Bag of potato chips? Yeah, they have my brand, but you think I'm going to part with it? Nope. That's why you don't see me with a lot of chips. String cheese, $4.88 for a small package. Cantaloupes, 2 for $6 with small. Oatmeal, $5 for a 6-count. Loin roast, $3 a pound. Pillsbury Select pull apart bread, 2 for $9. Broccolette, whatever that is. Barbecue sauces, etc. Whole fryers. Pot pies by Marie Callender's. Again, pot pies. And then you go down the list to the other things. I don't like avocados. I got chocolate bars that I don't eat, breakfast sausage links I try to avoid. And then you look down ice creams, if you like ice cream, and then you said wild salmon burgers, juice pouches, beer. I mean, literally, what's in this week's ad? None. So that's why you plan it carefully. So if you see a deal for groceries, you basically plan carefully. You don't sit there and plop down $8 for a bag of chips. I know what's our name, brother Tone. He's like, oh my God, Americans and prices. Right. Now, if you look at this, for example, I'm looking at this, okay? Now I'm gonna go over Safeway for a minute because of the thing of saving money. Okay, this is big. Which reminds me, do we have any news yet on the rails? Because I need to check. I got my thing wired for that specifically. Nope, nothing. Just YouTube. You're on YouTube. Cool. I'm on YouTube. Hey, Mom, look, I'm on YouTube. Once in a while, I gotta be funny, but right now, seriously, people say, "How can you afford to live?" I mean, not just me, but everyone. I mean, literally, let me put it this way, okay? All right, I'm going to use two people for an example here, okay? Make it three. I'm going to use three people. You got the Badger, Higgins. You got the cutie pie, the Ducky. And you got Poppy, the old goat, okay? Now, let's go with Poppy, for example, okay? Poppy, the old goat, buys frozen TV dinners. He doesn't mind. The other day, he was sitting there talking about, I think it was Gorton's or Van de Kemp's, where he was talking about how he would love to try their crab cakes. I said, then why don't you do it? And Dad said, old goat says, well, you can't microwave it. You gotta bake it in the oven, and I don't want to use my oven. You don't want to use your oven, or you can't use your oven. See, he's got a problem where he can't bend over. So his arm hangs there. So even if he got the oven mitts on to grab it, problem is what his house set on fire. More likely, yes, because the old goat's a pack rat. Instead of he's got one of those old-fashioned stoves, right? I call them old-fashioned. The ones that's all glass top, so it's like basically like space age, like Cousin Dinky has, right? But he never uses his stove. He bought it when his mom was alive, put it in the house. When his mother went to a nursing home, Aaron used it, kept it clean. But then when Aaron moved out, me and my husband had crass sense of humor. That's why I tried to apologize, Zoe. But anyways, the old goat turns around and doesn't want to use it because he's afraid he's going to set the house on fire because he uses the oven to sort his bills for a year. He just stacks up bills like this. I mean, when me and Aaron went to his house last time in 2010, oh my God, there's too many papers everywhere. It took us 3 weeks to clean that damn place. 3 weeks. He didn't appreciate it. All he said was, where's my papers, Rita, Aaron? It's all you say after we do so much. We even provided dinners and everything else. Aaron was cooking for him. He loved it. Soon as we left, beep, beep, beep. Oh, yes, I'm going to have this for dinner. I mean, literally, he asked me scientifically, right? Now you could say, how's this affect Higgins when it comes to him? Well, let's talk about the Badger for a minute. Because, and by the way, before you guys ask, I'm checking something, okay? So apparently you can cook this in a conventional oven or an air fryer. They do not recommend microwaving this at all. It says we do not recommend you microwaving this in a oven. You can use a convection oven. The clam strips, he was complaining about that last night. I had these last night. They didn't taste good. This is oven only or deep fryer. Maybe it tastes better in a deep fryer. See, I'm always looking at other options how to but do you want to pay money for a deep fryer? And does, do we need to really push Ducky to come out here and do a funeral if I fall over dead from eating too much deep fried foods, So, but anyway, let's go with the Badger, okay? Badger loves microwave, right? Anything you can microwave. Soups, little hot dogs or cheese sausages. He loves his his 1 minute for his I think it's like 45 seconds for his two better cheddars. So he buys the better cheddars in the block at 12. So that feeds him 2 days. So 2 days for 12 because he nukes 2 for breakfast, 2 for lunch, 2 for dinner. Has a banana and a few other. That isn't bad for someone like the Badger. Okay. Now everyone knows I can sit there and poke the Badger, and the Badger pokes the bear. But as true friends that we are, which we stick together anyway, look at it, the Badger has got his own ideas of food. What's his reasons? The microwave is like Dad said. He doesn't want to wait to slave over a stove for 2 hours if it's just one person. So, what does the Badger do? Just throws it in the microwave, cooks it up. Reminds me of that Animal Crossing game I was playing recently. Tone, if you're watching this, I got a joke for you. So I was playing the other day, right? And I go in and because I have the expansion, gives you a lot of content. I actually updated the entire living area, as I think I told you, of all my animals, right? And I paid like 9,000 bells to upgrade each house. So I got like 10 characters. So that's like 90 grand in my pocket. I get like 9,000 miles. Which, if you want miles that way, just go and update their house from time to time. But me, so I updated one of three of my people's houses has espresso makers. They're sitting there. You see this? I can chop, I can fry, I can saute, I can broil everything with my espresso maker. And I'm going, oh my God, you guys are stupid. An espresso maker makes coffee. The espresso maker doesn't make anything but coffee. But to them, the thinking it's like a microwave. It slices, it dices, it chops. However, it would be kind of sense of humor, something I could see Zoe using in the little dark humor for comedy skit. Look at my espresso maker. I can chop, I can flambe, I can cook, I can broil, I can saute, I can make shrimp kebab, shrimp burgers, shrimp stew, shrimp salad, po' boy shrimp, shrimp sandwiches, shrimp burgers, shrimp soup, shrimp gumbo. Sorry, a little humor is okay. Let's get serious again. So, some people like to use the microwave. It's fine. The microwave's good. Russia, they banned microwave apparently at radioactive, right? Now, when it comes to the duck, for example, the duck falls into 3 different categories. Somewhat the Badger, somewhat the Poppy, the goat, somewhat me. It just depends, like she'll fight back when it comes to, for example, her pricing, $83 for a drink. Oh my God, I wouldn't pay $83 for a drink. I would have fucking told them to cram it up their ass and they'd be wearing my boot. But to be serious here, just like Poppy at times, Poppy has a guy that takes him out to dinner 3 times a week. So he doesn't have to worry about food. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out to eat. Whereas Zoe at times talks about, not feeling good. She gets Grubhub and DoorDash and Lyft Foods. And what do I get? No delivery on an island. Well, we tried that experiment, or Zoe tried. Thanks to Zoe trying, at least she's got a big heart. Fortunately, I knew it was going to go down the toilet somehow. But anyways, you see what happens is you got to cut your corners. So if you have the money, and Zoe's writing, so I would think, and this is just advice. I'm not going to sit here and call Zoe names or anything. Last night, I was trying to be funny, but today, seriously, you guys got to look at your finances, because if you can't buy, if you don't have a freezer, buy one. If you have a freezer, fill it. I mean, literally, what we're going to be seeing in the future is going to be bloodshed if people aren't stockpiling. There's going to be a lot of people. There's people out there that are waiting for. Well, let me tell you what's going on. Okay. I was debating whether I should say this, but let me finish my thing about the duck. Now, some people, like the old goat, they buy it. They eat out all the time. But can you afford it? Maybe. Maybe not. Truth is, if the old goat's basically eating out too much, what happens when he can't access his bank account and banking collapses? His house goes from $3 million value down to $300,000 because the housing bubble popped. Oh, well, it'll rebound in about 20 years. Yeah, if you're still alive in 20 years, you see, I can be a smart ass too. But the truth of the matter is, when it comes to those three examples, Higgins, he's doing great. He's got his food, he's stockpiled, he's eating his better cheddars. I can make fun of his sausage heart. But then you have, Zoe. Don't know what her diet's like. She's always talking about chicken wings and this and that, making me hungry all the time. Damn it, I want to eat too. Good. Then you have Poppy, who eats out all the time. Poppy was always eating out before he had to have his heart unclogged. Okay, so eating out will cause your heart to be blocked. Trust me. Poppy ate out so much when he could, because he could before the pandemic that he didn't care. And then crap at the fan, he had to start TV dinners, and apparently his TV dinners was not that healthy. So think about it. All right, we're having a serious discussion. All right. Now, Safeway, for example, when you cut corners, you got to ask yourself, oh, crap, I guess my Safeway ad got closed. Give me a second. You got to ask yourself, what are you willing to cut out? See, I just gave you an example, Now, basically being funny with Zoe, right? Zoe was living with me. She'd probably slap me on the hand every time I wanted a bag of potato chips. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Nope, your heart. Well, with Chloe, of course, basically, I told her to load me up a bucket of sausages, she was out anyways. So, you know how that played out, it was tasty, but I don't eat sausages that way. But I could have cut it out, but I'm always eating down when I have rotate wine. Okay, so for Safeway, if I send Chloe to go to Safeway, they have chicken breasts or thighs, not paying $4 a pound, sorry to say. $2.99 for 3 pounds of hamburger and 1 pound, 1.5 pound block. So this is 80% lean, 20% fat, $8.97, $2.97 member price, and doesn't say how many you can get, so there is no limit. You go down the list. Beef boneless sirloin tip roast, not interested. Beef boneless top sirloin or tip roast steaks, not interested. Triscuits, not interested. Unless it is chicken and a biscuit, which, again, you got to ask yourself, do you want some salty chicken and a biscuit crackers or give it up? For example, buy 2, get 2 free of Pepsi. So if you're paying $5.99 a pound a case, and you got to pay $12 for 2 12 packs, and you get 2 12 packs free, you got to ask yourself, is that a good deal? Depending on if you're drinking all your Pepsi or not. Me, I would probably do it just because, but then again, I'm only interested in certain sodas if it's Mountain Dew, like Baja Blast. Next on the list is Doritos. 6 to 10 ounce bag, $2. Buy 4. So you got to buy 4 bags to get those deals. 4 bags, see? Touchdown deals. Buy 2, get 2 free of Monster energy drinks. Now, I would say, got to keep some of those energy drinks so I can keep going, so I can keep pushing myself to get these videos out for you. Doing that would just basically kill me off early because Hubby drank 3 cans a day. If you didn't know, that was one of the reasons why Hubby died. So people say to me all the time, well, why did he die? His diet. Between living on ramen every day for lunch and a heavy, hearty dinner, 2 cigars a day, 3 cigars sometimes, and then between 1 and 7 2-liters a day. No offense, I'm actually spilling the beans. And him being on antipsychotics, you have bad diet, bad caffeine intake, not including his energy drinks, 2 to 3 cans. So 2 to 3 cans of energy drinks a day, 2 to 3 cigars a day, hearty dinner, ramen for lunch, being on antipsychotics, killed him off at 38. There you go. Gave him heart disease. So when people turn around and ask me, how do you afford these things? Why is some of this stuff cheap? I'll explain that too in a second. So the mini sodas are on sale too right now. Buy 2, get 1 free. Sunkist. I haven't had a Sunkist soda in a long time either. The orange soda. Remember, Dinky always bought me orange soda and cherry soda and black cherry soda, and when I was at their house healing from surgery. Coffee's on sale. Buy two, get two free. K-Cups or ground coffee. Tully's on the other end. I don't know. I haven't had Tully's in a while. Then you go look at refrigerated frozen, right? You got Maria Callender's pot pies. One pot pie, $3. Two pot pies, $6. Then you have things like yogurt that's on sale. Yogurt, more yogurt, coffee creamer, Tillamook sliced cheese, $5 for sliced cheese. Yeah, that's about right. So it's not on sale. So you got to ask yourself, do you have a use for it? Oh, I can use some extra if I want a cheese sandwich. Safeway does have a deal, say, on goldfish. I would say $3.50 bag. Buy two. So buy two different bags of various goldfish. That would be a good deal for someone like Zoe. Nabisco Chips Ahoy, 2 for $6. That'd be a good deal too, but you got to ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice real food for snacks too? That's the thing. If you can afford the snacks, get it. But if you can't afford the snacks and you're poor, cut it out. I mean, literally, let's just use the Poppy and the Duck, for example. Okay, Poppy and Duck go out. Ducky likes to buy goldfish, so she buys a whole bunch of goldfish on sale. The old goat goes and buys cookies because he's got a cookie thing. Even though he's a diabetic, he eats cookies every morning for breakfast. See, I'm telling on him too. Oh shit! Excuse me. Oh. Yeah, pain radiating down my arm, so hopefully it's nothing. It's not coming from the heart, so unless it comes from the heart, you guys will know. Right now, it's just probably I strained my muscles today, okay? So don't worry if the duck's watching. Don't worry. It's called old age, all right, people? When you get to be 40 years or over, you can complain about your old age breaking, okay? This morning, I didn't get on my treadmill, telling on myself. I had to get onto YouTube this morning, and then things happen, all right? For example, if the duck decided to buy cookies, she would eat them all. And then, no offense, she'd blimp out a bit because, well, she likes sweets. So, best way for her, cut out the sweets. Best thing for me, if you guys notice, only when my sugar's levels low is I tap into my taffy. You see, I got a tub of taffy. Now, Chloe's already went through it, took out almost all the grapes and all the banana flavors, except for the banana flavor on the bottom here, which is hers. I don't like banana, so I'm not eating banana. There. See? Banana. Papa. The minions. Anyway, so for example, Poppy would buy the cookies, Zoe would buy the cheese crackers. I'd be more proud of Zoe than Poppy because Poppy's diabetic. We don't know if Zoe's diabetic. But same time, let's just go down the list here. For example, talking about grocery shopping, right? I would go and I would be getting the hamburger. First on the list is hamburger, right? Lay's potato chips. Buy 4 bags. Let's just say I spent $8 and got 4 bags of that, and then $8 and got 4 bags of Doritos, and what do you call it? And some hamburger, right? Now, say I'm looking around. Oh, peanuts are on sale too. $1.99 for peanuts, right? So it says limit buy 2, so I buy 2 things peanuts. So far I got, say, 4 packages of hamburger, and the rest is junk food, right? Can you think you can live on that? No. Then let's just say Poppy sees chocolate bars, right? 2 for $7 for Ghirardelli. Zoe sees the same, but Zoe says, I must restrain myself. I have the crackers. I am good. Oh, and Zoe sees Gatorade on sale for 4 for $5, so she buys those. Me, of course, me being stupid as I am, interested in limited edition or flavored Mountain Dew and Pepsi. I get my soda, which I don't drink that often, as you guys know. Then we go down the list. Next on the list, booze. So you can sit there and say, I'm skipping out this, I'm skipping out that. Poppy would skip it all. But me, I'd look at it and be like, Fireball, negative. Hornitos, tequila, nada. This is what's on sale for beer, skip it. Then I'd go down the list and I would see what else is available. Well, let's see. They got cheese slices, Velveeta and Crafts. I'd look at fully cooked bacon and say skip that. I would look at that and say 2 for $8 for Oscar Mayer deli lunch meats. Well, maybe. Just depends, right? I might get that for that purpose. But then I would look at other things. See, for example, some people sit there and they say, I have kids. What about cereal? This is where that comes in handy because you can buy right here $1.99 for 12 ounces of Honey Nut Cheerios, Trix, or Cocoa Puffs. $1.99, but you must buy 4. They say, oh, okay, so they go into cash. And by the way, when those cereals on sale, you don't find cereal at all. The brand name's gone. And they know how to play it by ear, but that's because why are they doing the lower pricing? Let the stores do it, because the stores already paid the lower price for it. Stores are making money, but at the same time, the things like General Mills goes, yeah, sorry, we have a problem. Our warehouse is overstocked on cereal. Could you move some of it? So they stick the $1.99, buy 4 boxes, and then everyone strips it. And then they clear the warehouse out and they keep making more cereal. But you got to look for those deals. $1.99 when you buy. How many cans you got to buy? 8. So 8 cans. So you got to buy $16 for 8 cans of Progresso soup. That's not a bad deal if you want to pay $16 in soups, depending on how much weight you want to do. That's the thing with me. I have to limit on the weight. So next on the list is your toy home care kit. If you're just going off of food, you just got to look at it. Candy's on sale. Here we go. Halloween candy. Buy one, get one 50% off. And it shows like the 150-piece 150-piece M&M's, Twix, Snickers packages of the Milk Duds. Oh man, I'd love to get one of those. I'd love to get that. Again, gotta restrain myself. You see, with me, I'm so reserved. Hamburger, that's fine. Candy, well, you get candy, eat candy, but with me, I have candy and I don't eat it. The problem is, jokingly, of course, okay, call me a bitch, me. I can take the name because it does suit me. No one else gets that title. But when Chloe eats my candy, it really irks me. She knows I keep it in there for low sugar, and then next thing you know, I'll look for my candy, and she'll be like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. That Ziploc bag, it was full of gummy bears. I couldn't help myself. And I'd be like, no wonder why I'm down one bag of gummy bears. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I didn't think anything of it. It was just in there when I was in your room and your office. And, at that point, I'm just like, great. Then I tell Dad, and he's funny. He's like, oh, well, that means you don't need it then. It means it doesn't go. It means that Sticky there, that's what he calls her, Sticky, not Stinky, Sticky. She's tall and thin as a stick. In case he can eat anything, he never gains any weight. You remember those old sayings, people? Your moms and your dads used to say, I have a kid, and they eat like a bottomless pit. They're going to eat me out of house and home. Yeah. Let's see here. You got Rancher chocolate bars. I mean, look at this. They're just showing all these candies for Easter. Hershey's, Reese's, Butterfingers. Oh, man. Kit Kats, Hershey's, Reese's Thins. M&M's. These are chemicals we don't need. Actually, the Windex I do need. So I'd get Windex, too, in the shopping list, But then you go down there. Hershey's XXL Halloween candy. Spend $25, save $5. Buy one, get one free. Buy one, get one at 50% off. Wow. See, Then here, 10 for 10 on Match Wheel, Spooky's and Hot Wheel cars. Who would want them who would want to go trick or treating and be like, trick or treat? Here you go, Sonny. Here's some Hot Wheel car. My husband would basically do those voices too, the way he would do it. Here you go, Sonny. One Hot Wheel car. Oh, you're a girl. You can have this pink Cadillac. Oh, thank you, kind lady. No problem, little ducky. Pink Cadillac. I got to bring that up because he was talking about driving sporadically in California. See, I remember these things, All right, so certain items I wouldn't buy. 4-pack of battery, damn. Double A, triple A, 8 count. Man, they're expensive. There's light bulbs. Buy one, get one free on white light bulbs. Yeah, as long as you get a 4-pack. If they're a freaking 4-pack, I'd do it. If it's one light bulb, I wouldn't do it. I think it was Chris the other day was talking about, or was it Higgins? It might have been Higgins that said something. Okay, so now we're down to the meat department. See, I'm not into shrimp. I'm into shrimp, but $8-9 a pound is not good. So you got to pay $18 for 2 pounds. Then you got sirloin tip. I won't eat. Boneless tri-tip won't eat. Sorted chops, $2.99 for boneless, bone-in pork chops. Yeah, if you like a good pork chop, you can also a tip for you people that do like to eat pork chops. One of the good things you can do with pork chops without making gravy with it is get yourself a couple pork chops. Say you have a whole family, you don't want to cook steak because it's too expensive. Get some thick pork chops. Throw it on the grill with some as Mike would say, some bloody garlic salt and onion powder and onion salt and onion or garlic powder. Mix it all together as a rub and make it up. You'll have a great pork chop dinner. That's true. Pork loin rib chops. There's the rib chops right there. That's a good deal. If you want to make rib chops, you can have rib steaks that are out of pork chops. You can make a pork chop a dinner with just cooking on a barbecue without needing, you can also slap on barbecue sauce on it and cook pork chops in barbecue sauce. Thin cut pork rib chops. There you go. Or pork loin chops right there. And then you have Angus boneless chuck roast. I wouldn't pay $8 a pound for Angus. Meyer Prime Angus ground beef wouldn't pay $7 a pound for a 1 pound hamburger. But that Signature Farms lean, I would go with that. Then you have your grapes. Again, it's $2 a pound. 3 for $10 for Fresh Express salads, and then you got your vegetables. And I'm very picky my vegetables. It doesn't if it ain't a cucumber, I don't buy. And then you got the Fresh Bakery and the Fresh Made Deli, like the cheese, the ham, the 3 pounds of mac salad. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. And then you got your Primo Taglio pastrimi, and assorted ham and cheese. Pastrimi. See, I know how to do it. It's salami, pastrimi. See, yeah. Mm-hmm. So when people call it pastrami, it's pastrimi, and when it's called salami, it's called salimi. You gotta have my daily salami, but then again, you eat too much of it, you might clog your arteries up because too much grease. So basically, when I looked at this ad, for example, for you guys, the thing is the hamburger looks good. And that's about it. So, you got to ask yourself, how much are you sacrificing? Are you willing to sacrifice potato chips or sacrifice your soda? Are you going to sacrifice a lot? No, I make a lot of sacrifices for myself. And so to you guys, you got to ask yourself, will you sacrifice on the on your groceries? I mean, people sit there and say, "Oh my God, what do I do about these prices?" Well, you either eat eggs, mind you, or you go to the store and you buy 5 dozen eggs, the last, and stick them in your fridge. And then you use your eggs as you need them. I mean, literally, let me tell you how I cut my food intake down. I know the other day, the Ducky here, Ducky, she was worried about my heart. Okay, well, my heart, I keep it under control because usually I'm very frugal when it comes to eating. Now, I do have a problem with deep fried foods at times. That I'll give it and think. I also have a problem when I want frozen TV dinners. But Ducky shouldn't worry because you don't see me eating sausage links, but every 3 months or 6 months. I mean, usually I cut my food intake down. To make things last. I also cut my food intake down, but I also cut other things down. For example, you don't eat bunnies. Yeah, see how cute he is? He's so cute, can't see it. But no, honestly, I eat sausage links once in a while. I eat out very little. I cut out my eating out. See, if you really want to survive in the pandemic, you say, oh, well, we're over the thing, but we got monkeypox. That won't be a big deal. What if, hypothetically, I want you to sit on your head upside down, rotate, and think while I tell you this. And don't get hurt doing it. Disclaimer, I was just saying, honestly, I just want you to think before you ask about what is this, what is that. It goes like this, honestly. What about your grocery bill? Are you willing to go out? No offense, I think Ducky got screwed when it came to $83 for a freaking drink. Okay, I'd be freaking putting my boot. If the Ducky was wearing high heels and thigh highs under her dress, I'd be putting those stilettos up their ass that fast. If I was Ducky, just because. Okay, but comes to you know, people eating out. The question is, can you afford it? No. If you can't afford it, don't eat out. I mean, literally. And people say, oh, well, we're supporting the local industry. Maybe, but are you willing to basically support the local industry when the entire network can collapse soon? I mean, think about it. Think about it. People got to cut corners. Do you see me sitting there going, oh, yes, I'm going to go eat out because I can? No, I'm not. I mean, I spent $11 for pancakes the other day. Pancakes. Panny-cakeys. And yet, it was tasty. And yet, you guys, I don't eat pancakes that often. And I love pancakes. I also love I also love French toast. And the French toast was damn good too. People say to me, "Oh, well, what happened to saving money?" The only thing I had out this month was, that. And then, you hear me complain about pricing, food pricing where I live is outrageous. We don't have a Burger King, so we don't get to see. We see the ads. Get your $6 double burger with fries and chicken fingers for $6. Ooh, that would mean I'd have to get up, go across the water, go all the way to Mount Vernon to go spend $6. I just spent $7 on the way home just to take the ferry, not including $4 just to go out. Which I know people would say, oh, well, it's worth it if you go get exercise. I mean, does that motivate me looking at a $6 meal on TV? No, it doesn't. I mean, what motivates me is looking at pricing and being like, I know farmers are hurting, fish people are hurting, everyone's hurting. But you got to ask yourself, how much are you willing? How much are you willing to sacrifice? That's the truth. Are you willing to sacrifice or are you not willing to sacrifice? I mean, literally, how much are you willing to sacrifice? I mean, literally, I looked at the list, right? What do I see? Hamburger. Oh, not a bag of chips. But let me give you some tips. You see, if you're going to sacrifice your food, then you might as well look at the big picture of how much are you willing to sacrifice, because frankly, you got to look at the pricing. Are you willing to stand up? Are you willing to stand up? Are you willing to not stand up? Are you willing to look at it and say, oh, yes, I'll buy that? Or, oh no, I'm not buying that. It's too expensive. I mean, you got to ask yourself, how much are you willing to sacrifice? Eventually, you're going to have to give up a lot. And that is something a lot of people don't understand, is why. People sit there and say, oh, well, I'll live comfortably and nothing can penetrate me. I'll live comfortably. Until your world goes down the toilet, man. I love all of you. You know that. And yet, I don't want to see you suffer. Truthfully, I don't want to see anyone suffer. And yet, the American people sit around every day. Excuse me, I got to open the window soon. It is getting a little toasty in here, and since you guys are with me today and we're actually having a serious conversation, this is something that's been bothering me for a while. I know Higgins, I always call Higgins the tight ass, but truly Higgins is a frugal man. He's got to be frugal with no money. And with the government going down the crapper, that might just delay everything more. Now, someone asked me today, oh, well, Higgins has got a lawyer. Higgins has got this. Is he going to get benefits? And I said to someone, Vance Higgins wants to use the lawyer, use the lawyer. Higgins doesn't, fires the lawyer, that's fine. But if there is a delay in trains, let's just say Social Security relies on the trains, hypothetically, and the trains ship out through Georgia Pacific printing paper. Let's just say printing paper goes into short demand. Then what? No paper? Can't do much. So everything's backlogged to Social Security for 6 months while they're waiting for paper. And then the companies turn around and say, oh, it's Social Security. Social Security can wait. It's all freeloaders anyways on Social Security. So what do? They go and give it to the big companies. Like, say the Zoes of the world in Chicago needs all the paper for their paperwork. Bigger companies get it. Smaller companies don't. Then what? See where I'm going with this? Basically, the entire chain could break down. So I'm trying to prep you now, but I'm also trying to tell you to buy your groceries weekly. Don't buy it monthly, buy it weekly. Buy it when the ads come out, right when the ads come out, because that's when you know exactly what to get. And then you can sit there and say, oh, that's cool, Now, another thing you guys sit there and you always talk about is the other issues. And that is what to buy weekly. Now, with me, I'll tell you what you buy weekly. I'm trying to get Chloe to learn to pick up 2 to 3, mind you, 2 to 3 gallons of milk so she doesn't have to go out every day for milk. She's learning. Same time, I'm also trying to teach her when you go out for shopping for milk, you pick up the other basic items. And then if I give her a list, she sticks to it usually. Sometimes she forgets toilet paper and has to go out again. But when the time comes, you got to prepare to buy only what is necessary. If there's a breakdown, say the trains don't deliver the groceries, then what happens? Hey, look, it's my little sausage man right there. and gave him like 3 sausages today. You say that he's a neglected dog? I don't think so. What's up, sausage boy? No, you don't get anything. You got your treats today. I was very generous with you, my son. I gave you some sausages. Even though I was depressed, I still gave you sausages. No, go eat your own food, you little mooch. See, he's always mooching. Anyways, I'm surprised Tony ain't here for Thursday at this time of night. Where are you, Tony? In line for 3 days waiting to see the Queen? Oh, yes, here we go. We got a new article. I've been expecting this, so let's just see what this says, all right? I want to see this. It says here, are you ready? I hope so, because I'm ready to share this with you. So it says, the U.S. economy can keep running without freight trains, but not for long. We know this. Then why is the risk of the first national railroad strike in 30 years so worrying to economists? Yeah, worrying for economists and businesses. Sorry to say it, but does it worry anyone else? I don't see you being worried about it or me. Wouldn't affect that. Oh, you need water? Yep. Okay. I guess that's what you were asking for, huh? When did you run up this morning? You just didn't see it. Well, I did now. Well, I hope so. I want my water. Also, like Mommy Chloe will get to this. Otherwise, you're freezing the hamburger. No Salisbury steak tonight, yeah. Yeah, well, anyways, there you go, baby. See, I love my little doggy, by the way. Little service dog, Moppy. You're looking a little wide in the gut. I think you had too many sausages today. All right, so. Anyways, for you guys that are still tuned in, whoever it is, it says a brief stop workage. Some previous rail strikes have lasted only hours. Likely won't cause much economic disruption, but a prolonged walkout a week or more will cripple the nation. Big deal. We already struggling supply chains causes widespread shutdowns and shortages. I'll tell you what the problem is with this whole fear. All right, it's fear. Okay, it is literally fear. Get my dip. It is fear because, frankly, the truth is you're living in fear, people. If the government shuts down, as long as you're prepped, you ain't going to have a problem. Now, you could say, oh, well, what about, look, unless you need some really important items, get it now. I mean, literally, this is big news. But a prolonged walkout for a week or more will cripple the nation still struggling with supply chains, cause wide panic shutdown shortages, and likely further drive up prices. They're already driving it 40-year high. Why? Let's talk about that for a minute. Why are they driving it up? Truth be told, because the fucking dickwads over at the fucking, no offense to anyone, I'm calling these people names. Last night I was having a little humor when it came to Zoe, and I didn't mean to hurt mentally Zoe in any way, shape, or form. So Zoe knows many, many times I'm at her forgiveness. And, the Bible says we have to forgive everyone 70 times 77, and I forgive Chloe every time. There you go. So, what do you think? People call me a saint, but we're not here to talk about Zoe forgiving me. So, I want to talk about this, right? Said economists, at a week, you see real damage. Yeah, right, in a week. Economists, Anderson at work stoppages. Let's break that down again, okay? He's saying, you know what? This is why you prep, okay? This is a man-made disaster. And the reason for it is greedy peckerwoods. Now, I could say the word peckerwoods, bastards, whatever. It's not addressed to anyone on YouTube. It's addressed to the freaking government. These people literally need to know that I'm furious. Furious at them for freaking playing Russian roulette. And you know what? I'll tell you what the problem is, okay? They say, 40-year inflation was brought on by Powell. Everyone knows he's a complete dick. If he cripples the damn housing market, he's doing this on purpose. I'll tell you why. Because honestly, in their hearts, these people want to cripple the country. They want a dictator. They can't get Donald Trump in. and you know me, I'm neutral, then they're going to basically cripple the economy. Oh, the houses went down, everyone's but thing lost. You know, maybe they'll cause a banking reset. Who knows? But you know what? These people, they don't play fair. They don't care. They only care about their own personal interest. Maybe they want to drop all the values of everything. Make Zoe live in Chicago in slums, see where make her place a slum, let it fall apart and buy it all up cheap and then sell it for millions and breeze out of there as billionaires. You see? It happens. Strike will mean reduced gas production. I already said this earlier without them basically figuring that out. Duh. Spoiled crops and choke off supply new cars. Look. A lot of you guys out there say to me in messages, you're completely right about all the stuff that you're forecasting. But they also email and they say, Rita, this is something that no one talks about. No one asks about. Zoe hasn't asked. Pee Wee hasn't asked. Higgins hasn't asked. Well, Higgins has. He told him probably on the phone once. But all these people tell me. But honestly, not one of those damn fools. And I'm not talking about Zoe being a damn fool. I'm talking about these fucking government dillwads. Realizes in this economy, how many of these damn fools think they are, us, we the moderators, and some we the people are, we're not fools, think that they can pull the wool over our eyes by saying we need to buy a new car. I mean, look at it. Supply of new cars. Ask yourself this question. Detroit and all these people are worried about the auto industry. Why? Can you, the viewers, can you, my moderators who's watching this, can Tony in England, let's just say hypothetically, it doesn't affect him. Can he afford a new car? Can I afford a new car? Can Zoe afford a new car? Think about it. Now, that's the true question. They're worried about new cars being moved. I don't give two craps about new cars. We got enough cars on the road as is, and with every damn state basically trying to force it 5 years or under, eventually your car is going to be turned into a scrap piece of metal anyways, a strip for parts because they can't drive it because the states won't allow it, so you got to buy a new car. Empty shelves at stores over the holidays. Let's talk about that. In my previous video, we were talking about this train thing, right? But truth is, I haven't looked it up. What's the true numbers? True numbers of how many semi-trucks move from the seaports from California, which we get a lot of our products at Christmas time from China. So we go seaport to the from the seaport to the truck to the train to the depot to the truck to the warehouse. So they were saying that because the trains could be delayed because we have to transport our Chinese-made stuff cross country, that it won't work. Tell you what the problem is. Tell you what I would do if I was president. I would demote anyone who thinks moving everything across country is a good idea. Build more truck chassis and GenCool systems. Move everything by truck. Have the trains only carry the bigger things. I mean, I told you guys a story. I'll tell you again. Zoe loves stories, by the way. Do be snarled, and for the factory workers, there can be temporary layoffs. Yeah, see, temporary layoffs. Yeah, because they can't basically fill their warehouses up because everything's stacked up by the rail depot in the back waiting for it to be picked up. America's railroad remains crucial for keeping the U.S. economy running. No, it doesn't. You can move most everything by truck. If you basically got off your lazy asses and basically made more truck chassis and gen coolers, but they don't want to do it. They want to do everything else in between. You know, another reason why they basically move a lot of stuff by train, I'll tell you. When you see a refrigerated boxcar, right, driving several stacked together, right, it's the engine in the front powering the refrigeration system because they bring in each engine's between 4 and 16,000 horsepower, so it can tow up to if you stack 16 engines, I'll tell you that story in a minute for some of you out there, stack 16 engines together, it can tow 400 cars. So it can tow 400 refrigeration box cars, 200 refrigeration box cars, 100 tanker cars full of oil, milk, and so forth. And the other 100 cars can be all cow. By the way, it's funny watching the cows, on the side of the road or going through on the rails because you can see cow potties pop right out of the side. See, it's my little humor, a little joke about cow pies. I remember one time my husband, he's got a crass sense of humor. My husband looked at me and we were out somewhere, in Kentucky, taking a walk. And then this family, they had a train line going past, just transporting cows. And my husband looked at me and he says, "Wifey, bitch." I was like, "What? Bitch, go clean up that cow pie." So this lady sitting there, right? My husband, he's basically dealing with something else, snapping turtle in the middle of the road. So this lady's like, "Here's a shovel." I said, "Do you have a shovel for me?" She said, "What do you need?" I said, "Oh, some cows left some cow pies on your property. He told me to clean it up, And she's like, "Oh, here." Didn't think some nice citizen would do it. Trust me, when hubby tells me to do something, I do it, So jokingly, he used to say, "Bitch, get in the kitchen, make me a pie or cake," and I do it too. But he had a sense of humor. But when it came to his being a Southern gentleman, he was. I mean, literally, some people could have ran over the turtle, and they said, "Yeah, we'd have turtle in our damn tires." But anyways, they can squirt it right out of the side of the cow cars. You can see, it is funny at times. Carry nearly 30% of the nation's freight, 30% or more, measured by the distance traveled, the weight of the cargo. Yeah, and there really isn't an alternate train stop running. Yeah, there is. You can send it by truck, but you diverted more truck chassis and retired them and everything else, and now we don't have truck chassis. See where I'm going with this? So it require more than 460 additional long-haul trucks every day. Yeah, see, if we basically put in a long-haul trucking factory, 2 per state, that's 100, and we made enough trucks. If every state in the union except for Alaska, well, Alaska could, 49, and you did 2 to 4 factories that just made semi trucks, chassis, and gin coolers, and increased the Peterbilts, the Mack trucks, the Kenworths, and the Volvo, I think you would literally have enough trucks that you wouldn't need to worry about the freaking trains if they went on. I mean, literally 406 additional long-haul trucks every day, which is not possible based on equipment available. That's why you basically make more equipment availability, you stupid jackwads. And an existing shortage of 80,000 drivers. That's why you basically give bonuses and basically hire more drivers. So a trucker writes to the Congress asking to act to prevent a strike. Don't act to prevent a strike. I'll tell you why. The engineers are entitled to time off. They don't get time off. This is what it's about. This is about something that I'm compassionate about, more compassionate than most things, you see. I'm compassionate on when you are alive, you take it nice and slow, right? These people want to have Congress, who's the biggest britches in the country, go and intervene when they shouldn't. Republicans want to do, we're going to have the Congress do it. Really? It's because what if all the engineers are told, you got to go back to work, right? I talked about it in my first video this morning. What happens? They turn around and say, you got to go back to work, right? Engineers turn around and say, F you, and they leave. Then what? I'd say good on them. Why? Because they can't be told and forced to work with 1 to 2 hours from the depot, and they got to drive a train. I'll tell you this train stories in a minute. So it says, act to prevent such rail service disruption will create havoc in the supply chain. Damn it! Son of a bitch! I was reading this. Supply chain and fuel inflationary pressure. Fuel it? No, yeah, it'll fuel it higher. See, they're worried about their needs. They're not worried about the engineer's need. The engineers can't even get doctor's appointment. What if an engineer is working his ass off 20, 30 hours driving a train because there's not enough drivers and he derailed? Then whose fault is it? It's Burlington Northern, Santa Fe. It's one of the other train companies, and then they got to sit there and ask why. Oh, well, we're short on engineers. I mean, and I'll tell you why it's hard on engineers. I'll explain that in a minute to you guys. It might be only millions, but that's a lot. It's your job. If it's after 1 week strike, it's uncharted territory. Big deal. Gasoline. Price of gas has been falling, but gas will go up when people start panic buying the gas because the trains are on strike and they can't move the oil to the refineries, and the refineries can't move the oils to the local hubs where they pick up to take to the gas to the fuel pumps. So it says here, but rail strike could send prices shooting higher again due to limited supply. See? Limited supplies. They're worried about the fucking gas prices. Oh, they didn't even talk about food in here yet. See, that this is the problem we have in this country. Damn it! I was reading that. See, it just kicked me out. I'm freaking. I get to finish this. Oh, here we go. Refineries get most of their crude oil via pipelines and ships out most of the products they produce, such as gas, diesel, and jet fuel. Number 4, diesel is jet fuel. So trust me, I know that mouthpiece work Boeing. So what's that mean? Well, your airlines might be canceling because they can't get enough jet fuel. So, that matters to me. I don't fly. So technically, I don't fly. And Zoe doesn't live in Chicago. So to us, it wouldn't matter to us. Maybe it would on her mass transit when she rides around on the bus. But, But railroad tank cars are a key part of the process to make the gas that ends up in your tank. We know this, but now they're basically saying, well, without gas, the job industry and the entire country collapses. Without giving the engineers what they want, you're basically saying they're basically should be sacrificial lambs. Trust me, they're not sacrificial lambs. They work their ass off. It's about all ethanol that goes into gasoline moves by rail. Without ethanol, gasoline wouldn't be compliant with some environmental regulations. Even those regulations could be waived, the lack of ethanol could increase the cost of a gallon of gas by 16 cents. Wow. Due to the loss of tax breaks, according to whatever. Well, the pipeline carries most crude oil to refineries. About 300,000 barrels moved by rail each day, a volume that could supply about 2 mid-sized refineries. Yeah, okay. Numerous chemicals used in the refining process also rise via rail, and some lower grade products and waste materials need to be shipped out by rail, like toxic waste and nuclear waste. Trust me, I know this stuff. When you see a train people with one engine and four cars, it's either toxic or nuclear waste they're transporting. Trust me, I know this for a fact. I've seen nuclear waste being spent uranium rods apparently in one fully loaded boxcar. And I said, why is one engine doing it? Well, it's all they need, but still, each uranium rod spent is apparently really heavy. So think about that. Food. Oh, here we go. Rail cars aren't coming in regularly to pick up facility products, including the sulfur that refiners remove from crude. Production will have to curtail, the refineries said, and that will shut down gas pricing or gas production. So the Republicans, no offense, remember I play devil's advocate here on my channel because I can, are more worried about their beloved stocks in the gasoline and diesel companies and jet fuel than they are about the food. Strike would be hitting at a particular bad time for the nation's agricultural industry. Yeah, well, we know we're already in a great famine, mega drought. Bureau of Transportation says that train counts for 27% of their distance grains travel and measured by weight. Yeah, but how do you get grain when you can't make grain when grain's not available because of a mega drought? That means your wheat goes up. I mean, literally $80 for a barrel bucket of wheat. Think about it. As rail stoppages on September 16 going to hit right as the full harvest accelerates in the United States. Damn fucking. Many parts of the U.S. said, CEO, National Grain and Feed Associations, damn frickin' sock. Quit frickin' rolling up on me. Sometimes these damn socks become so damn paper thin. National Grain and Feed Association, they're already damaged with the cows. And they already killed a lot of our cows out for 2023 harvest and slaughter of cows because we don't have the grain to feed them. Think about it. So 2023, you might be paying $23, 2023, you might be paying $50 for a pound of hamburger to $100. The economic damage across the food and agricultural supply chain would be swift and severe. Really? This is why I keep telling you peeps to prep, because once you get several buckets of wheat, you can use that wheat to make bread, and then you don't have to worry about your bread. I mean, literally, think about it. Railroads are already starting to refuse to take new shipments of grain as of Wednesday in preparation for a possible strike. The work stoppage happened. Grain operators will let the con under the rail containers sitting in the yard, but they won't be able to move them out or accept additional grain from the farmers, who will then have the limited option to sell their crops. In recent months, there have been improvements of farmer supply chain issues suffered long through the pandemic. The grains were made in the last 7 to 8 months will be reserved largely, and the strike happens. Reserved for breads and Zoe's fish crackers and my club crackers and stuff. In addition, farmers preparing to plant for their fall season could see shortage of the fertilizer they need, since the railroads have already stopped accepting shipments because they're classified as hazardous materials in many cases that could hurt future supply of crops. See? Now they're worried about crops because they don't want to give in to the engineers. I'll explain the engineer thing in a minute. There definitely would be at least some price increase for consumers, if our processing plants are not running, the food manufacturers to buy the ingredients won't have access to them for extended periods of time, depending on how long it would go. We're about scarcity, being able to actually get food, you see? So first they're worried about your gasoline. That's number one priority. Food's number two. Beyond domestic food price, strike could affect global food markets as the U.S. is a major grain exporter. Within the war, yeah, we're exporting our grain to other countries, everyone, but we can't basically keep our grain at home to feed our cows, which we're slaughtering. And now the government wants to do an animal food tax. So Zoe has to go down to the store and say, I'd like a steak. And they're like, would you like tofu steak or a plant-based steak? I don't think the lovely, beautiful Zoe's gonna want a freaking plant-based steak. I'm sorry to say. I would be like, no, thank you, ain't going there. It's like when you go to the frozen food section sometimes, you see special $1.99 for 8 tofu dogs or tofu burgers. I'm sorry, but I don't want something that's a tofu or plant-based. I want the real deal. Cars and truck production has slightly been hampered by the shortage of numerous essential parts, most notably computer chips. Yeah, that's why we put in a computer chip factory, 1 to 4 computer chip factories in each state. We can basically produce more computer chips for the world, and we would be the computer chip factory of the world. Created a dearth of vehicles available at sale and dealer yachts. Yeah, and the ones that, because of mass producing these cars, they have so many manufacturer errors that they're sitting on the lot. Let's just say Zoe gets a driver's license, buys a new Cadillac, and then finds out her caddy, let's just say she wanted to go with an armor-plated Escalade, just to be funny here. Or Escalade's got so many problems. It's sitting on a lot for 9 months and they can't get parts. It's still under warranty, but they're just sitting on the lot. And then they said, we can't take any more warranty repairs for this particular area. So they tried to drive somewhere else to get it fixed. And those lots are full. That's what happens. That's what's happening right now. That's nothing compared to what would happen with the prolonged rail strike. But 75% of cars built in the U.S. factories are imported here, moved by rail. There are nowhere near enough trucks to carry that many vehicles. And that's why you don't manufacture that many cars, as Aaron would say. Funnily and jokingly, as Aaron would say, because not many people in this world has the money to go buy a new car and all the time. In addition, many of these parts move between supplier and car assembly plants by rail. Production will quickly halt. Those rail links are severed. Big deal. We can't afford a new car, so strip the cars. That strips the oil. I know people got to go to work. And that will just leave the food crisis. That's more important. If you control the food, you control the people, they say. Finally, on the bottom, consumer goods, apparently. Snarled container ships coming into the West Coast ports finally easing after years of backlogs and delays, and although things have gotten better, they are no means normal yet. Yeah, because we don't have enough truck chassis. We'll spend $20 billion on a new aircraft carrier. They're going to build like 15 new aircraft carriers. And those aircraft carriers, no offense, are costing you $20 billion. So if you get 15 aircraft carriers, that's $3 trillion, not including all the submarines we're building and frigates and destroyers and super destroyers and minesweepers and landing craft and helicopters. And I mean, 2/3 of our real budget secretly is the military. So think about it. As of Tuesday, the Port of Angeles, 27,000 shipping containers waiting to be loaded on trains. That's roughly 3 times as many as in the normal conditions. 2/3 of the current inventory containers have been there 9 or more days. Wow. Well, none should have been there that long. Efficient rail operations are critical to Port Los Angeles. Blah, 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 working to maximize efforts. Peak season importing goods heading to retailers ahead of the holiday shopping period. Now, let's just say to all you viewers out there, they ain't going to be Christmas this year. Zoe and I, she comes back. She's got Christmas stockings I'll be filling, but there's not going to be much Christmas for a lot of us. The National Retail Federation said last week it's concerned about shortages later this year if there's a rail strike. Wow, the National Federation is shopping. The shopping federation worried about their income for this country. Yet they're not worried about gasoline or food, but they see each one has their own damn agenda while they're trying to force the engineers to do what they're doing. We're in the middle of the peak import season, says the trade group. Any rail network disruption this month could have long-lasting negative effects on the import and selling stuff. Product delay, shortage are connected with inflation. Oh, and the next one is manufacturing. Oh, yeah, this will be interesting. You see, we're getting into the crux of the problem here. Most factories aim to have parts and raw materials delivered just before they're used. The assembly line, big deal. Process known as just-in-time deliveries, and many factories depend on rail to get those parts supplies as well as ship them out. Well, think of it. Some of the stuff that they're talking about, you don't even buy, so it doesn't even affect you. For years now, America's manufacturing workers have endured the effect of rapidly rising material costs and supply chain disruptions. National Association of Manufacturing rail strike will devastate the movement of manufactured products that families depend on. What products are you talking about? Because so far you're not giving us any numbers. You see, this is why I would question the article. You can see, where's the numbers? We can move most everything up by trucks if we wanted to. Rail strike could result in temporary plant closures as happened across the globe. Auto industry due to the shortage of parts and commuter chips brought in from the pandemic. Commuting. Although only the nation's freight rail lines faced a pending strike, many of the nation's commuter trains traveling on tracks maintained and operated by freight railroads. As a result, many passenger railroads expect to be shut down operation once the freight strike starts. Amtrak's already shutting down. Think of it. And then again, Amtrak's so cheap, they're still using double-decker train cars from the 70s. Amtrak has cut nearly all their service on many of long-distance trains. The company owns roughly 700 miles of track mostly between Boston and Washington, but 97% of its 22,000-mile tracks run along freight lines. And that's why Amtrak's always delayed, because freight trains go first. Many commuter railroads also prepared to shut down much of their operation for the same reason. Wow, so Zoe might not even be able to get on a local train in Chicago to go from one side of the city to the next. Well, at least you got buses, hun. Buses will get you and your legs. Many commuter railroads are also preparing to shut much of the operation for the same reasons. I wonder how the ferry system is going to fare. See, that's a good question. That could mean more commuters driving to work and more traffic congestion, even for those who don't normally take a train. Wow. And now we're going to get to the crux of the other problem before I plug this in. And that is the big enchilada of the problem. Let me tell you a couple stories. Zoe likes the stories. When I was traveling with hubby and Aaron, sometimes the trains would be delayed in Spokane. One time, I was sitting and this guy comes up and he was having problems with the vending machine. No, older, used $1 bills or $2 or $5 don't really work good in a vending machine. You didn't know. So I used my card, got him a couple sodas. I said, "What do you do for work?" He said, "I'm the engineer for the train." So he tells me some engineers are working double time. So basically, they like, for example, one engineer would leave Seattle, and he would go all the way to Spokane. The Spokane engineer would get on. His hometown's Havre, right? So he'd be going from Spokane to Havre. The next engineer would go from Havre to Fargo, let's just say. Fargo to Twin Cities to Chicago, and vice versa. That same goes with going from Chicago to Texas and Chicago to Los Angeles. And then the engineers that are driving those trains, the trains go in, they stop, like every 12 hours or 24 hours, they come back through, right? Or 12 hours later going the other direction. So the engineer goes home, takes a snooze, gets up, drives the train again. So say one engineer goes to Seattle. And if they have daily train services, and the Seattle guy lives in Spokane, his train comes into Spokane. He gets on to Spokane and goes to Seattle. Spends the night at Amtrak's expense. That's how the conductors work too. And every conductor set changes out in one of the major hubs like Havre, Spokane, Fargo, uh, along the way. And that's the same with Chicago to New York. They stop in different places, where there's a manned station. That's where they stop. It could be, you can go from Chicago to somewhere in Pennsylvania, like Pittsburgh, and then the train gets off Pittsburgh, and then they change in Pittsburgh, and then they go off to New York. So, they got timetables and everything else. So, if the conductors and the engineers are going on strike, it's because they're not getting any time for themselves. So, they want quality of life changes, which means they get to go to doctor's appointments, spend it with family. Most of the conductors and engineers have to work 1 to 2 hours away from their main hub, so the main lines. For example, like I said, with us, the engineer was nice. He was just like, yeah, he worked like 18 hours. They're supposed to work only 12 hours, but at the time, he was working 18 plus hours because, they couldn't find another driver. The engineer wasn't feeling good or whatever, and so you see what's going on, right? So you guys sit there and say, oh, well, the engineers are entitled to have their time off. I'd be like Zoe, a sweet Zoe saying, do I ever take a day off? No, I don't, because I always have to find something to do while I'm doing these. Right now I'm trying to do spreadsheets, but I also had to stop reading that article because that's one of the articles I was waiting for it to come in. I'm manning the, you know, so why you guys sit there and say, well, it's scary. I mean, literally, they're all worried about it comes to a grinding halt. What about the engineers? What they need? Doesn't anyone have any compassion for the engineers? Let me put it this way. I could be a total bitch and a total asshole sometimes, okay? But I have a caring heart, a gold heart. And right now, I think the engineers deserve the time off. And then they go on strike. It's because they're being worked to the bone. They claim they have 100. They claim they have 65,000 engineers and conductor sets running the two-man trains. And yet, if there's 65,000 and they have 7,000 trains running a day, including passenger trains, freight trains are 7,000. Then that tells you right there they got 14,000 engineers. That's 24, 34, 44, 54, 64. Let's just go 50,000 additional engineers that they have on call. We shouldn't have an engineer problem, but they do because most of them have to be on call and have to work long hours to drive the train. And sometimes they have to drive additional time because they can't get an engineer firm. Whatever it is. So while you guys sit there and say, oh, well, what about our gas? Well, if you drive, think about your gas. If you don't drive, don't think about gas. Zoe and I, we shouldn't be thinking of gas. But then people say, well, you should think about gas because without gas, the trucks won't deliver your groceries. As long as the warehouses are full, you can get your groceries. They'll just basically, let's just say it's not going to be bad as these people think, But then you got the preppers, not the Ritas, the preppers, not the Zoes, not the Ritas, not the Higgins, not the Higgins, not the Tonys, they're not the moderating team of my channel. We're not worried. We're prepping, but a lot of people say, "Oh, number one worry, gas." You see, that tells you right there where the country is. It's like that guy in the movie. Zoe, if you're watching this, you should check out the movie Air Force One. Gary Oldman. You would murder 10,000 men for just a gallon of gas to save a nickel on a gallon of gas. Yeah, pretty much. That's how this country works. But the oil's running out. Everyone knows it. So unless they go with green efficiency, which they're trying to force down our throats. Let me tell you what's going to happen in the next 20 to 30 years, people. Something you're not going to like. You're going to walk out one day and see a bill in your state passed. They already passed a booze tax, pot tax, whatever tax for this, tax for that. They might just start doing a Zoe tax. So you're a Zoe, you get taxed. If you're a Rita, you're being taxed. If you're a Higgins, you're being taxed. They might sit there and put in a dollar tax on your better cheddars because those aren't healthy for you. I'm poking fun at the Badger, but still, they can do that because they say, oh, that's not healthy to eat. But if you eat a salad, that's healthy. You won't have to pay a healthy tax for that because, but they might just charge a healthy tax anyways. You get a tax for eating a salad. You get a tax for unhealthy for the salad dressing put on it. I mean, literally think of what they could do, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. What if they turned around one day and Zoe's 80 years old walking around Chicago? Excuse me, kind gentlemen, I'm hungry. Can you make me lunch? I'm being funny here. That movie that me and Zoe were talking about, Peter Sellers. Think of it for that point of view, right? Think of that for a minute, right? What if Zoe's walking around? She's got a device, right? And once a month, they deduct, say, $150, $200 out of her check. Let's just say she's retired and they deduct it, right? This could happen. They could sit there and be like, oh, you don't own a car. You don't use the public light rail that much. You don't use the public bus system that much. Well, we're putting this device on you so you can use the public sidewalks. It's called you're paying for the sidewalk tax, which means it's a walking tax. So you walk everywhere, you're being taxed. So say you walk 10 miles a day, 300 miles a month. They could sit there and say, oh, you owe us $200 or $300, because you walked. So then people sit there and take the thing off and then run on the treadmill. But then they'll be like, oh, you walked and you didn't know. Where'd you walk? I was on my treadmill. And then when they find out you're on a treadmill, they'll put on a treadmill tax because you're using treadmill, which uses electricity, which means They're your tax money again. You see, the government's going to find any and all ways to tax the crap out of you. And so to them to sit there and say, we're worried about gas. Yeah, that's the number one. 2 was food. 3 was, then you had 5 was commuting. 4 was manufacturing. 3 was, I can't remember 3 was, but, they're all worried about this, gasoline's number 1. I think 3 was food, and the second one was something else. But you know what? The engineer's entitled to have their own break, literally. And this is where I'm compassionate. I'm big. I like the rail. I'm a rail fan. Same time, what happens to the American people? Everyone's now going to go in panic mode because of it. To me, the American people need to be realizing that the American people are screwed. Screwed, blued, and tattooed. They're all putting fear in you. Don't worry. Keep prepping. We'll get through this. If it's a week, 2 weeks, a month, just think of the engineers. They're the ones that have to do those long-haul jobs. And think of it. The numbers don't match up. If there's 14,000 engineer conductor teams working a day, 7 days a week, and we got 64,000 engineers, hypothetically 65,000, and we have 65,000, that's 41,000 additional engineer conductors that aren't being used. So if they go on strike, and the government turns around and forces them back to work, says, you're going to do this, they could just all quit. None of what happens. The entire rail system fails anyways because they're not tolerating it. And if I were the engineers, I'd stand up and say, no, you're not forcing us to work. We may have college degrees and we are the engineers and conductors, but we're not giving in to you maggots when you tell us we have to work when we don't get the conditions that are met. Why are the Republicans pushing for Congress to act? It's because Congress, the Republicans have their money tied up in the rail systems and the oil systems and the airline systems. But if you cripple all that, the Republicans don't make fucking money. Do I feel like I'm going to say this? Cry me a fucking river. Plain and simple. Cry me a fucking river. Plain and simple. Well, people like me tell you to prep. It's because I care. And I don't want to see you going hungry. But some of these jackasses just think, oh, well, you can't do. Yeah, you can't do what? I mean, literally, think about it. I want you to think about it for once, people. Think about it. Think about it. I mean, literally, it's 4:02 Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to check the news once more in a minute. It'll tell you what we need to know. And you guys know as well as I do, I worry about all of you. Some people say, oh, do you really? Yes, I do. You think I just sit on my butt and not do anything? That's not true. I worry about you guys all the time. I worry about you prepping so you guys can freaking, I love all of you, and I don't want to see you hungry. That's the problem we have in this country. There's not many people that's compassionate. Some people say, oh, really, you're an asshole. Okay, I'm an asshole. But you know what? As an asshole, at least I'm compassionate too. Because frankly, people need to realize that the compassionate person like me sees what's going on. I've been on the rails. If you haven't ridden an Amtrak train, they run their Amtrak runs the damn system into the ground. They're losing money every year. Let me put it this way. Let's give you an example. Okay, I'm going to use Ducky for an example. Ducky here, using an example. Say Ducky goes to Seattle, wants to visit me hypothetically. She takes the train and she says, I want first class, right? And they say, okay. She's not going to be charged basic. She's going to be charged up to $1,000 or more per night for a room. And you can sit there and say, why, oh, why? Now, why? I'll tell you why. Because that's how the cookie crumbles. And I'm not basically sitting here making jokes right now. I'm serious. When the train guys do what they're doing, they're literally charging you that much money. So 2 nights could be $2,000 just to get from Chicago to Seattle. And then, since you have first class, they'll give you a bus. Sometimes it's a bus, sometimes it's a Cascade. But that bus or Cascade goes directly to ooh, look at this. My shopping cart emptied again because everything sold out while I was waiting to buy stuff. Wow. On Amazon, I was going to place another food order. Now it's sold out. See? Food shortages right then and there. 24 hours, I have a full cart. Now I have 0 cart. Anywho, think about it from that point of view, okay? They're going to charge. And Amtrak is using 1970 cars. They might retrofit them from time to time, fix the trucks on the bottom to glide on the rails. But basically, if you ever use one of the showers or shower stalls in the first class cabin, they recommend you wear sandals so you don't get feet rot. And when you go and take a shower with sandals, here's the kicker. You look down where the drain is, it's draining right onto the railroad tracks. How nice is that? And when you get in, whenever they get into a major hub, say you go from Seattle to Chicago, right? Let's say I go and see Zoe. I get on at first class. Say I take a shower. If the water tank is pretty much empty in the car, they stop and fill it in Wenatchee or the nearest hub. Say a lot of people drain the water and it went from Seattle to Everett. They'd fill in Everett, delaying 2 to 3 minutes to fill it. Then say the train showers get used before dinner, and all of a sudden at 8 at night they have to fill it in Wenatchee. I lived in Wenatchee or near Wenatchee. Then they say by the time 8 o'clock times, they think no one's going to use the showers anymore. So then what happens? They refill it in Spokane. So in the morning, the showers are being used, and they got to fill it up in Whitefish. Usually they keep a water thing there, and then they fill it up in Havre. Then they fill it up in along the way Browning, Whitefish, Havre, because a lot of people like showers, and then they fill it up in, along the way at different man stations, as they go. They tell the conductor, yeah, we need to fill up here, and the next station that's a man station, they run out and fill the tanks, and then or the engineer will be, water, you need water, okay, we might as well top up the engines, and they do. They stop and they fill the engines up while the engine's running, and then the train engineer moves along, and then he gets and then they say, why is the train delayed 5 or 10 minutes? They're like, oh, we had to take a wheelchair patient off, bring in a wheelchair patient, fill the water tanks, and fill the diesel in the engines, because they keep the engines running constantly. So they usually don't turn the trains off, so those trains go there. And then when you go into Chicago, the big Chicago train system, where the underground tunnel, where they should put in extra vents, venting the smoke, the diesel fumes. Trust me, I've been to Chicago many times. I wish I'd met Zoe back then. That would have been cool. Anyways, so what happened? Well, the they run the engine. So anyway, look at it. You can be inside Union Station in the main hall, and you won't know the engines are running. So they might pull the engines in, empty the car, pull it onto the side track, clean them all, flip them, pull them back in, and then load them up to go out to, say, Seattle or wherever they're going. So basically, but the engineers have that. Then you have the cleaning crews, and then you have this, and then you have the conductors. And then the conductors that get into, say, Chicago that don't live in Chicago, mostly they do. They have some that work in Chicago. They say, oh, hey, Herb, I'll be back. Well, let's just say Zoe works for Amtrak. Let's use Ducky as an example. Hey, Ducky, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go home and get some sleep. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 so I can catch the train back to Seattle. Or they might say, oh, you're going to New York this time. Well, I'm going to be going all the way to New York because I'm the one that's going to be doing this. There's a couple long-haul car attendants that do stay there. They have their own sleeping cars. But everyone else, usually the first class has the sleeping car attendants. Everyone else gets off in coach. Or the conductors, that does their sweeps around. I mean, I've been in. I'll tell you a story, okay? Story time for Zoe time. I was on the train from Spokane, right? See, when in Spokane, there's 2 things that happen, right? When you're going to Portland, right? The train gets in from Chicago, and they divide the train up. They divided it. The main train goes on to Seattle, and they have a secondary train that goes to Portland. So the Empire Builder splits off the two. One goes down along the coast of Oregon and then across and down. The other train goes across the mountains and down. So when you think of the train, what the engineers got to do, you have another set of engineers that get on in Spokane, and then they both divide it up. One engine set goes in, whatever. You know what the worst is of it all? Try doing a YouTube vid. I can always send the link to Zoe eventually when she's done being mad. Where you're sitting on the engine, sitting on the observation car. I did it with Zoe. Sorry, not Zoe. Chloe. And the engine, right? So each car has a door, right? And you push the button and the door opens. You go in and, there's the observation car. Well, in Spokane, they divide up. The dining car goes to Seattle. So you don't get fresh breakfast. You get bagels and meat breakfast and heated sandwich, breakfast sandwich, whatever on the one going to Spokane, from Spokane to Portland. But the train going from Spokane to Seattle gets the dining car so they can eat, right? So conductors and everything, when the engineer has to put the observation car, which gets divided into Spokane up, the observation club car, that's where you get your breakfast and everything in the morning. So if you're sitting there, right, and you're cramped and you can't sleep because there's snoring Bettys, basically, snoring like crazy and snoring geezers, you can go to the observation car, set your computer up, play your game, listen to music, wrap yourself in a blanket, take a nap. No one bothers you in the observation car. Hell, the observation car is closed by then anyways, and they won't serve alcohol. But kicker is, when I was on it, most times, they literally connect. The engine, next car behind the engine is the observation car. So picture it. You're sitting there in the observation car, looking out the beautiful window, seeing it is majestic. I've done YouTube vids like this. And you're like, great, we're going through a railroad crossing. And then as you're sitting in this observation car, upper, lower, whatever, the observation's double decker, you go downstairs and they got like a little restaurant serves food. You get heated hamburgers and hot dogs and everything else, little munchies. Can't get the official Chicago dog unless you're a Zoe, and then you gotta basically tell them, I want the Chicago dog. Then they'd ask Zoe, what is the Chicago dog? Jokingly, okay? But anyways, you're in that area with next to the engine, you're smelling diesel fumes all the way to Spokane. You're like, oh God. You can be halfway asleep, waking up, going, and the conductors, they're just like, well, this is where we can do it. And sometimes they basically put first class all the way up there. So think of you being downstairs in your sleeping car, and you're next to the engine, and you're trying to sleep, and smelling diesel fuel. So what they try to do is, sometimes they take the cars, and the engineers think kindly, and they say, oh, swap it, put the observation car here, your two coach cars here, your two sleeper cars there, and your baggage car in the back, or your baggage car, then your observation car, your observation, whatever. But anyway, look, there's a baggage car too at times. So they divide up two baggage car. One goes to Spokane, one goes to Seattle. And what's funny about it is sometimes you're lucky. You'll sit there and you'll get first class, like I've had many times. And the conductor for the first class that goes to Portland says, hey, Rita, what's up? Hey, Todd. Well, yeah, we're ready to go. I ain't going first. No, I'm going because I have first class. Mine and you deserve first class because it's paid for by me, my family, and my hotel, and my hospital, and everything else. So I'm going to sleep. And, you go into your first class, and, the conductor's like, so, Rita, you got a half-gallon jug in that bottle of yours? Yeah, you want a shot? Don't mind if I do. That will help me get to sleep for about 4 hours. I'll get up. Okay, so we sit there for a minute in my room. He'd make 8 hours bed made up, heater turned on. I'd be like, oh, Todd, how have you been? Oh, not bad. You should be lucky this time. Why? Did you notice the engine's all the way at the front of the train? First class is all the way at the back of the train. You won't have to smell or anything. They finally realized this time around Rita's riding, and they don't want diesel fumes going into the little doggo. Next, we're riding because I have the wheelchair accessible. They never sell out of those. So what do? Train pulls out. I'm sitting there. Oh, I got to use the toilet. Walk 3 feet across to my toilet. Hey, Rita, we're 5 hours behind schedule. We're at Pasco. You want to walk Little Mapo? Sure. Since we're 5 hours, can I get my breakfast too while I'm at it? Yeah, sure. I'll go get it. You want some coffee? And the guy'd come back. You get something 20. He'll be like, need another coffee refill. And everyone else in first class is like, why do we got to go walk all the way over there to get our coffee? Don't you work for us? We pay so much money for these sweets. His answer, you didn't pay me $20 or more for tip before we even left the station. Rita's always tipping me 20 to 50. So I bring her a coffee every time. We live on tips. If you don't tip me, you don't get service. You can have your room. You can go get your food. You can get your food vouchers, get food. Rita, she's one special person. She always tips. So conductors, car attendants, I should say, earn their money, or most people, So stories are, good experience. But think of it. They work for tips. If you don't tip them, they ain't going to give you anything. So think about it. Every one of you people need to realize, that the railroad is going to cripple, and they're more worried about gas over anything else in the world. I mean, literally, they're more worried about the gas pricing, and so people are always like, oh, yes, So when people sit there and worry about this, worry about that, worried about this, what about the people? What should they worry about? That's the thing. What are they going to worry about? I wanted to ask you that. Now, a lot of you say to me, Rita, besides budgeting for my groceries, you want me to cut corners on some. Well, if you're just a single person, think of it. Do you really need that bag of chips? No. Do you need um, other items? No. You sit there and some of you people, and I can be the same, I'm gonna admit it. I'll pony up to my mistakes, because, well, that's me. I pony up to my mistakes. I say people like, some people can be bigots. I'm no exception. I can be bigoted too at times, and I admit that. But when you start to cut corners to live, that's where you basically turn around and you realize, what are you going to actually buy? What are you going to buy? What are you going to afford? Literally, what are you going to buy? What are you going to afford? What are you going to literally do? I mean, think of it. Are you going to buy groceries? I mean, literally, think about it. You got to make decisions once in a while in life. I mean, literally, you're going to sit there and go, oh, I want that $5 bag of chips. Or can you take $5, buy yourself 2 packs of sandwich meat, spend another $3 maybe, buy a loaf of bread, and take and slap on your bread, your sandwich, maybe get some cheese slices, and then make some sandwiches so you have cold cuts. Woo! Gonna get some cold cuts. The icky shuffle. Come on, I gotta have a sense of humor sometimes in my discussions. But seriously, think about it. I went through the ads. What do I find? Well, no hamburger, just steaks, which, again, they're trying to push steaks. And as you know, I know Ducky, if she was watching this, she would be like, oh, yes, I'll take my steak. Thing is, would you prefer cheap cut of steak or would you wait? I mean, they're basically pushing the cheap cuts right now because everyone's already bought out the good stuff. Me, I won't eat tri-tip. What is a tri-tip steak? Can you marinate it? Can you actually marinate it in gravy? See, I'm trying to be funny somewhat with my husband. He was a cook. So if I asked him, I remember him taking 7-blade bone steaks, making it it was like this big, and he just, it was like, yeah, have you ever seen that movie, Who Shot Liberty Valance? Probably Zoe has. She's seen so many good movies, John Wayne and James, what's his name? James something, he was in a lot of John Wayne. James, hold on. Look, who shot Liberty Valance? Right here we go. The man who shot Liberty Valance is on HBO. Okay, James Stewart. Yeah, and then there's Lee Marvin. Right, Lee Marvin was a great actor. Right. So you got that one guy, right? The marshal, Andy Devine, I think it is. He's always in there. He was in the original Stagecoach, right? And they show a steak. It's like this thick, and he's like, "I worked so hard today. Could I get a steak too?" And they'd go over, right? Funny joke, right? And they'd go over and they'd take the chalkboard and they'd strike another one like, okay, the marshal owes 7 steaks, and there's like the steaks like this big, and the lady just has cooking grease, and she just throws it in there. And he's like, I would like it with the side of whatever, and you sit there and she's chalking up, it's like this thick, my husband had one just like that. He just throw it in there. Wasn't bad at all for a southern bone steak, but still, you got to ask yourself, how low will you go in this economy? I mean, if you have a steak craving, right? Let's just say Zoe, Ducky has a. This is your local King's Market. Ducky speaking. I'm having a craving of steak today. Would you look at the grocery store list and be like, oh, tri-tip? What is a tri-tip? Let's Google that. I'm curious what a tri-tip is. What is a tri-tip steak? It literally is like a 3-point steak or something. Let's see, tri-tip. Tri-tip is cut from the sirloin subprimal. Cuts from sirloin known for the rich flavor and low in fat. The top portion is sirloin subprimal, top sirloin steak. The bottom portion is tri-tip. Tri-tip is eventually 1.5 to 2.5 pounds from the bottom tip of the sirloin. Okay, so it doesn't, So there you go. So it's not a Delmonico. Tri-tip trip is okay. I get that. Bottom sirloin, prone tri-tip. It's a roast. I don't want to try. I want to see, Best when cooked to medium rare, medium doneness over very high heat. Make sure not to overcook because it can get tough. Steak doneness guy, cook tri-tip. Yeah, I don't care about cooking it. I just want to know what it is. So basically, yeah, okay. Clean cut with a compound butter. Talking to Piper last night, it was great seeing Piper's face. He was having a couple beers last night with me. He says butter top. I never tried the butter top. The tri-tip, they're saying use butter top. So thing is do I really want to marinate a tri-tip for dinner? I could. If it's 3 pounds, I can give half of it to Chloe, but still, thing is, do I want to try it? Yeah, I don't know. And that's the only steak they got this week. I'm trying to stay away from the grocery store as much as possible. I mean, I still got 4 breads to use unless Chloe uses up the other 4 buns. Then I can buy another set of 8 buns fresh when I go, and I can have more fish sandwiches and another jar of tartar sauce. Tartar sauce. So, anyways, yeah. So, any other questions, or concerns? I'll be right back. Anyways, bathroom break. But you guys get the idea. So technically I can sit here and talk all day, but you get the idea. Let me check the news because it's 4:23 and people are really concerned about the rails. I mean, literally. So the rails, um, so what happened here? They keep talking about this. What happened? Oh yeah, okay. All right. So it's nothing I want to read. Yeah, I'm looking for the rail. Okay, so Yeah, wholesale prices dropped in August, so that's good to know. But we don't have anything on the rail strike yet, so nothing on the rail strike. So we still got till 9 p.m. So we have 24 plus 8 is 30. 24 plus 6 is 30. 32, but a little a little over 32 hours or so. 31, a little over 31 to 32 hours before the train strikes. So it's gonna be hard. You guys need to keep prepping. Run to the store, stockpile now. Go to your Walmart, go to your Costco, go to your Sam's Club, because once they go on strike, you don't know how long it's gonna be. Remember, I said I'm very compassionate when it comes to suicide by drowning. Sorry, that was the fly that landed in my coffee. If anyone wants to hear that joke, suicide by drowning. Damn bug. Ugh. Oh, is that the last of the coffee? No wonder why it grounds in the bottom. You can see I'm being very serious today, too. Drinking, no thank you. We got enough to talk about right now that focuses on that. Oh, this week's ad at the grocery store didn't look good. Are you going to clean the kitchen and do the salvage date? Yeah. Okay, Pete. So here's the kicker. People ask me all the time, certain issues, and I say, why am I having heart disease? Well, bad diet, um, stress. I mean, literally stress. I mean, while you guys go about your everyday life, I can officially tell you the reason I'm stressing is because of the future for you, my people who follow me and prep. And I want to make sure you succeed so we don't fail. Because frankly, the way the government's looking, and I keep telling you the government doesn't owe you a damn thing. And that's the truth in this God given world. The government doesn't owe you a thing, and a lot of people say, oh, but the government does. No, the government doesn't. Literally, the government doesn't owe you jack diddly poopers, You know. Yeah. And it's sad. Because all you people out there, you look at me and, some of you, you can't believe how much research I'm doing. I mean, literally, you guys sit there and, I get messages. They're like, how do you know these things? Simple. You see me manning the dang thing today when a news article comes in about the effects of what it will do to the country. I mean, look, they're putting fear into people. I mean, let me put it this way. So, because I know Zoe would probably bring this up without me needing to. So I'm going to bring, Ducky would bring this up. So let me just say, so Ducky would bring up, what about the lazy people? The lazy people don't care. That's the thing. They sit there and they think the government's just going to cut them a welfare check. And if the government has to, the government will, under Uncle Joe, will give a gas card up to $10,000 hypothetically, and you can get your gas. And even though there might be a gas shortage, they'll be like, oh, well, we don't have to worry because, we got the government bailing us out. But if the government's going to bail you out, then you must be living in la la land, because I don't see the government bailing out anyone. I see the government seeing everything going down the toilet, man. And you guys basically sitting there being like, oh, I mean, seriously. I mean, you think the government's just gonna go bail you out because whatever. I mean, look, most of these people are sitting at home. If they're sitting at home, they're not freaking um they're not they're not how do I say it? They're not wasting any money on gas. They're not doing. They're just sitting at home, sucking up free internet, free phone, free this, free that, and they say, oh well, we're helping with the economy. How are you helping the economy? The company gives you the free internet or takes your money and gives the internet. It's taking the money from the government and getting a kickback. Government gives them money, they get the free internet. No one complains. Next, you're going to hear them people complain. No offense, the people are going to complain that lives in the subsidized housing and gets free phone, free internet. We need free streaming service. Next, the government's going to make a deal: free Netflix, free Hulu, free Prime, free this, free that. I mean, literally, they're going to start offering those things to keep people at home, and then they could sit there and eat their damn bonbons all day. Does anyone remember the bonbons? I used to love those little strawberry bonbons that you get from Hillshire Hickory Farms. Oh man, I think I ate those candies first when we got it. Then I ate the smoked cheeses, and then I ate the rest later. I think I only left the stuff I didn't like. I was a little rascal back then as a kid, but the point is that we do funny things. But so honestly, what was I saying? Honestly, you see that list, right? It's like number 3 is food. Number 1's gasoline. Priorities of the U.S. government is basically you got to look in between the fine lines. I mean, literally, without oil, you can't run the trains. Without oil, you can't run the airlines. So you guys are worried about your precious trains moving, cars moving, buses moving, all this moving. And yet, you're not worried about Uncle Sam basically the food. The food's number 3 on the list because I mean, no offense to anyone watching this, but I do gotta say it's a bunch of malarkey. It's a bunch of malarkey that you guys gotta listen to some hilljack turn around and be like, oh, we're not to worry about oil. I'll tell you why they're worried also, because they have their money and their stocks tied up in commodities. So what if the stock market goes down the toilet, huh? What if you wake up one morning and they're broke, pitch black broke, no, pitch black in the dark broke, and then they're like, oh well, we could have saved it, but it didn't happen that way because these people didn't listen to me. Then they're broke. I mean, literally, what are they going to complain about? The American people complaining about? I'm sorry, but you bring it upon yourself and you put your money tied up in everything, and then you think everything's going to go good, and then they basically think the engineers are just slaves. The engineers aren't slaves. The engineers are people, and they have compassion, and we have to have compassion for them. So if you want to sit there and say, "Oh well, the engineers are greedy," no, they're not. They just want a life. They want to get up in the morning, get called into work, go home, relax with their wife instead of being called back to work for another 20 years. It'd be like me sitting there, me and Zoe and Chloe working as a rail team, right? And Ducky's sitting there, and we all leave from Seattle. And then all of a sudden, I'm driving all the way to Spokane, no problem. I get to Havre, and I'm tired. And then Zoe and Ducky says, "Let me take over." And then Ducky drives from Havre to Fargo or the Twin Cities before she's literally conking out. And then I take over, and then we get to Chicago. I mean, literally, if you look at the timestamps to get the trains places, if it was freight, or whatever depot along the way to refuel, the point is these engineers don't even get a time to go see their doctor for their physical ailments. They got to be on call. They have to be on call 24/7 like doctors, and they have to basically drive the trains anywhere they're told to drive. And therefore, they don't have time for doctors. They have to be 1 to 2 hours away from where they pick up the train, and they got to go. What type of life is that? What type of life is that? Engineer gets in and he's like, "Oh, I'm driving the train today." Off he goes. I mean, the same goes with Amtrak. The engineers get done. They go into they get enough breaks for while they're cleaning the cars or changing the cars or switching out a car or two. They get maybe 5 minutes, maybe just long to get a soda and take a piss. And they have a toilet on board their engine anyways, but their other man basically mans the train, the conductor guy mans it while the engineer is on the toilet, or vice versa or whatever. I mean, literally they have to have 2-man teams for those engines. So think of it, 2-man teams. I'm working and Zoe's using the toilet, and then I got to use the toilet and Zoe's driving the train temporarily. I mean, we'd be swapping, but eventually we'd be tired driving as long as we could, just to get to a deadline because Walmart wants the shipments, or Kmart, or Target, or whatever. I mean, literally, the engineers are the ones that are the backbone of the railroad, and yet they're the ones told that they got to accept the deal if Congress pushes them. No, they don't. They can just turn around and say, "We 65,000 engineers quit." Then the entire country goes down the toilet. They're prepped. They know what's happening. And they can tell their Republican bosses to kiss off because they turned around and they don't like being used as slave drivers. The Republicans that own the freaking rail lines think of engineers and railroad workers as indispensable. But, basically, what's that word? Disposed, the disposable, basically, they're disposable, and that's the truth. So technically, think about it. It is the damn truth. So if you look at the big picture in the world going around, you're going to see the American people take dumps on everyone. And they're all worried about gasoline. I mean, literally, I found the report. Let me see if I can actually get it on this computer. Because I want to look at the numbers again for you guys real quick, because this is serious. And they're using war in Ukraine and the king's death. And, here we go. How could a train strike affect you? Well, there's the Amtrak engineer. All right, so the first one is gasoline, right? Gasoline. Food's number 2. So they put gasoline ahead of food. Food's number 1, in my opinion. But no, they're worried that if no gasoline means no one will drive the cars and the trucks won't move, so the trucks can't deliver the food. Thing is you like Piper said last night, $500 of diesel goes 2 days driving around Chicago in his garbage truck. Yeah, $500. So it's $250 a day to drive around and a full tank of gas. So that's what, $250 a day. $250 a day. 500, 1,000 for 4 days. 500 for 2. So that's for 6 days. So $1,750 or so for 1 week's driving around on a garbage truck. So that tells you right there that the garbage might be backed up. But you know what? Garbage might be backed up. The thing is that there's places that you can get fuel. They'll just have to stipulate the sanitation department gets to drive the garbage trucks, picks up everyone's trash and dispose of it. Whereas the little people, like the Zoe people, can't get out into her car. She just said she doesn't drive, but she did. Her pink Cadillac. And then she can't deliver a pink Cadillac to wherever due to the fact that they're telling her she can't drive due to the fact that garbage trucks and other sanitation companies have to do it. They might even allocate the pooper trucks can go too, which is the septic tank trucks. I mean, you got to say they'll allocate the fuel to the people that need it. Hell, they might even take 50% for city or garbage workers and other things like sanitation. The other 50% might be turned into number 4 diesel to fly. Now, food's number 2. Well, they can't do the food, but they're saying food shortages. But the numbers here are lying because they're not saying what companies use trucking and what companies use freight for canned foods. They're just saying grain. So if it's grains, well, raw grain to make your goldfish crackers, And then number 3 on the list was cars and trucks. Like anyone can afford new cars and trucks in this country. So fuel should be number 2. Food should be number 1. And then consumer goods of everything else, and that's number 4, right? Yeah, number 4 is consumer goods. And finally, manufacturing, and 6 is commuting. I mean, literally, put commuting number 3 under the gasoline. Manufacturing, well, unless you're buying something specific and it doesn't affect you unless you need something specific. And then put trucks and cars at the bottom of the list. And number 4, put consumer goods. Number 5, manufacturing. And number 4, let's see, gasoline number 2, food number 1, cars and trucks last on the list, consumer goods, put that 4th, commuting 3rd, manufacturing 5th, and cars and auto 6th. There, see, 6 problems, right? Thing is these guys are putting gasoline number 1 and all this other crap. I mean, literally, the food's number 1 in my opinion, and yet these people are making these things saying, "Oh, well, these 6 items are going to cripple the country if we don't." This is why I say they're making you live in fear. Literally, you guys are living in fear. Don't worry about it. Just keep prepping. If you're that worried, then look at it from a different point of view. Because frankly, I'm not worried about it because frankly, I'm kind of excited to see how they get out of this, You guys can sit there and say, Rita, why? Because I can. Well, why would you? Because I can. Well, it doesn't that bother you? No, it doesn't because I can. You see, I, on the other hand, I'm excited to see how this plays out. While as other people are so damn worried that the gasoline's going to run out. I mean, literally, why should you even worry about the gasoline? I mean, literally, you guys sit there and say, "Oh, well, because why?" What if you don't drive, huh? What if you sit on your ass all day and eat bonbons and you sit there and say, "Oh, I'm worried about." Yeah, well, you're worried about what? You don't have anything to worry about. Plain and simple. Do you have something to worry about? No, you don't. Because frankly, you shouldn't be worried about gas prices because it doesn't affect you. What you need to worry about is food prices because those. Remember what I said, and a lot of preppers said. Those who control the food control the population. Gas, it's a luxury. If you don't drive, shake it off. If you walk, oh well, you're better healthy than most people. Think of it. You got to cut corners somewhere. So if you're already sitting at home on food stamps, collecting food stamps, not working, then what's that tell you? Let me see here. Beef tenderloin, nope. Oh, the beef tenderloin, I think it's sold in the bag. Might be filet mignon. Yeah. Yeah, Chloe's like, oh, Ernie, she's in the shower. She's like, oh, is there any deals at the store? Do you think I want to tell you? Oh, that's rude. No. What I mean is, do I really want to tell you? And she's like, oh, well, you. And then it's like, if I told you there's a deal on meat, would you even be considering the meat? She said, no. See, there you go. So here it's a tri-tip steak or roast. I wanted, that's what I was looking at. So, anyways, you can trust frozen foods at the grocery store, but you can't trust their meat apparently. So, and then again, I don't trust Marie Callender's pot pies either. There's something funny about Marie Callender's pot pies. You can eat pot pies. You can be happy with pot pies, but I frankly don't think pot pies are any tastiness in so whatsoever. You know, people say to me, "Oh, well, why is that?" Because I don't like their pot pie flavor. We all are human for something, you know. If we're basically built the same, we'd all be robots. Oh my God, I'm a robot. What was that TV show or that movie? Uh, you know, Police Academy. I want to watch that again, actually. But the first Police Academy is for free. The other Police Academy is not available. So to me, I thought it kind of stinked. But then again, people say, oh well, so one of the tips is you need to cut corners, and if the economy is really going to tank or get hurt or whatever, you might want to basically cut your streaming services too before it gets too problematic, you know because a lot of people say, oh well, what do we do? You don't do. Well, how do we? You don't. How do we? You just do it. I mean, literally, the thing is, once you start cutting corners, you're going to feel better when you have more income coming in and less income going out. And that's where you got to basically turn around and be stingy with your money. I mean, literally, I mean, you may sit there and say, oh, it's gravy, but what happens if, damn it, didn't mean to touch that button. Oh, well. So that's something I want to share with all of you. I love all of you. I want you guys to basically realize that without um without you cutting corners and knowing what to do, that's where it's going to get really bad, and people say, oh well, what do we do? You just follow advice. The advice I can give you is cut corners where you can, save money where you can, and frankly ask yourself the main question is, do you need this item? Do you need that item? Do you want this item? Do you want that item? And in the end you might be saved, but you got to ask yourself, are you willing to go and part with $5 for a bag of chips? Jokingly, of course. Okay, I got a joke here because Ducky's not around. I know if she comes in, she'll be like, quit poking the ducky. Quit poking the ducky, big mama bear. Okay. I would have been really questioning $83 for a drink. I don't know why she ended up paying it or fighting it, but $83. I'd be like, I wouldn't even step foot in a place that charged $83 for a drink. I'd be like, this place is a ripoff. You know. So apparently, Amazon on the other news front is suing. It's not telling us why they're being sued, but Amazon is being sued. By the way, in California of all places. By the way, it is 4:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No news on the rail. Okay, so anti-competitive contracts. So Amazon's being sued for overinflating their contracts. Okay, there we go. That makes sense. Same. But anyways, there's nothing new on the railroad. So apparently there's some news about Biden doing something. I'm not gonna pay attention, making remarks with the Auto Detroit thingy. Ugh. What the hell is that? Looks like a nerdy man. So anyways, there's nothing I can do, but just say we're staying on here until we know what's going on with the railroad with The timer set to 9:01 p.m. tomorrow night. That's the deadline. So if they can't make something, well, hopefully you guys prepped like your life depended on it, because it's going to be one hell of a ride for the rest of the month. And I know my dad told me outright, Poppy, you can have a drink tomorrow for your mom's birthday and tell me if I'm right or wrong about it. But he doesn't care if there is a food shortage. Oh, God will support me and supply me, so I'm not worried. Maybe. I had a dream last night about Poppy. Poppy and Zoe and Chloe and Higgins and a few other people, it just made me really sick to my stomach this morning too. So, but anywho, there you have it, but nothing, so for all you out there, you got to ask yourself, what is the plan? What is the future? I don't know. Plan is, it's scary. I mean, think of it. I worry about you all. I lose sleep over the fact that people might go hungry. I may be God's prophet. I make mistakes. I pony up to my mistakes. But deep down, the burden I carry is far more damning to me than it is to you guys. Because if you don't listen, you go hungry. Some people say, well, it seems like you have like supernatural powers like God. So you're like, you're worried. Like, I'm not playing God. No. What I'm saying is I'm worried about you guys going hungry. Because there's a lot of people out there that think the government owes them a living. And they say, the government owes me a living, and therefore the government's going to take care of me during a pandemic. What if the government doesn't? You guys go hungry. And then you got these people saying, oh, the railroad people will make some type of deal at the last hour. The whole Congress thing, the deal will happen at the last moment. What if they don't? Railroad says they don't want Congress intervening because apparently, for what I read, the engineers will quit. They'll quit in entire droves, crippling the system more because they're pissed. Because they have the degrees, and yet all they want is some life-changing things, Ooh. So one of my buddies messaged me today, a couple things, he emailed me, but so yeah, there you have it, guys. I mean, it's almost 5 p.m. Pacific or Eastern Standard Time. It's almost 4, which reminds me, is my ball game almost ready to go? Because I know I'm going to watch the ball game. Zoe got me into the Cubs, so I want to see if there's a Cubs game today. Is there a Cubbies game today? Zoe's probably watching this behind the scenes, laughing her ass off, going, a Cubbies game? Yes, a Cubbies game. I want to see the Cubbies to play. I have nothing better to do, That or play my game. My guild didn't even get back to me, so I was like, fuck them. Ain't bothering them. Okay, so the Cubbies. So we got the Cubs versus the Mets today at 4:10. So I already got that lined up. And then tomorrow is, 3-day break, and then 2-day break, and they get the Rockies. So I guess I'll be watching the Rockies. Oh yeah, they might not let me watch that because it's actually at the Cubs thing. So this is at Miami. So Yep. So, anyways, I was hoping to get this saved for me, but they won't let me. I gotta go in and do, every time, and then I want to check on the Mariners, Seattle Mariners. I knew a guy used to say Seattle Supersonics, Seattle Supersonics. It's kind of disabled, but it was cool how he said it. Seattle Supersonics. You know, the Brewers. Is there any Brewers game playing today? Yeah, they're playing the Cardinals today at 4:45. Milwaukee Brewers at the Cardinals. Seattle Supersonics. Seattle Supersonics. I was looking for the there it is, the Mariners. The Mariners. Mariners are live right now. Okay, so basically that's Seattle. So it's basically a game that's locked out. So I ain't watching anything that locks me out. So because it's a local thing, I'll find something else to watch. Blame Zoe for getting me into the Cubs. I really, Mama Bear likes her Cubs. So anywho, what can I say? Um, so today at 4:10 is another game. So I will watch the game. And for some of you wondering, because of my being an ass last night, I thought people would take my humor funnily, because Aaron always basically had that sense of humor. I thought I was, I thought everyone, um, no offense, whoops, there we go. Then, I was an ass to everyone around, and I deserve what I get, so, but still, I accept my mistake, and a lot of people sit there, like, on that aspect, but there's nothing I can do. I've already apologized and balls in someone else's court. And if we don't um, have anyone come back, well, I'll still be doing videos for you all because that's what Tony was. It Tony that was talking about that last night? He said, "Don't come believe." Yes, Tony left too after that whole ordeal last night. So we might have lost Tony and Zoe. So hopefully wherever Tony is, he's got my prayers. Same with Zoe, but we still think the show's got to go on for you other preppers out there. Like Chloe said, I'm here bound to duty for you all. That's all I do, and today and tomorrow and Saturday, or no, Friday, sorry. Today, tomorrow, Saturday, we will do a game. We will do spreadsheets while we work, and that means longer sessions while I do the spreadsheets. So, once I get the spreadsheets done, the first section, I got to do the second section, third section, fourth section. And I get to watch reviews in between too on YouTube TV, which I want to tell you about. Before you guys sit there and say YouTube TV, yes. You say, if you need to cut your cable bill, and you can sit there and say, "Oh God, no, 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 no." You can always use YouTube TV for free service. If you like live shows like my show, you can always catch me. I don't make any money at all, so I'm here to give you the skinny of what's going on. And as you can see, I'm literally worried about it. So you guys sit there and say, "Oh, Rita's." Yeah, I'm worried. I mean, if you don't know, I'm literally kind of worried because I'm worried not for me, but worried for other people. That's the thing. It's like watching. How do I say it? It's like watching my children go hungry because they didn't listen. I mean, we all make decisions. We all make bad decisions. We all make good decisions. We all screw up at times, but the truth is, what can we do? So the railroad strike's going to cause a food shortage. They're morally worried about the gas shortage. Gas shortage. They are worried about the gas shortage. Petrol is more important in the land of milk and honey than fuel. So, anyways, I don't know what to tell you guys. So, you got to remember grocery prices going up. It's because, there's a lot of people sucking it up. And that's something I forgot. I was looking over the title for a minute. So, for example, people buy groceries, right? And you get food stamps. People get food stamps between the 1st and the 20th, usually. When the 1st and the 4th, groceries are sucked up. From the 5th to the 8th, there's some groceries. From the 9th to the 15th, they might restock. And then from the 15th to the 20th, by the time you get ready to buy your groceries for the next month, and you're like me, it's all sold out. So you got to plan carefully. And so people say, oh, well, you planned carefully, didn't you, kiddo? I did. See, I like how you buy these games, right? They're like complete in every detail. I was telling it. Oh yeah, see, it doesn't include memory card. Well, I want the memory card. So it's like $170 for one with memory card. Talking about the Animal Crossing for GameCube. Tony's like, oh, I didn't know they had it for GameCube. Oh yeah, 20 years ago, me and my husband must have put in. See, we like games like this because it's not violent. And all you do is you build your house and you get it bigger and bigger. The manual. Look at this manual. You don't see a manual this thick anymore either, dude. If you can get it out. Let's see what they come with it anyways. I've never seen it. Scan this card, man. That's cool, man. The e-reader, what's this? Waiting for the mail? Oh, yeah, look at this. Look at this, peeps. You guys are sitting there going, what? Look at this. Subscribe to the Animal Crossing t-shirt or player's guide. Oh, yeah, look at this. For $19.99, you get 12 months Nintendo Power magazine. I'm tempted. Pay $20, see if they send me something back. He. I know they're closed down, but this is how stupid I am. Zoe, I love Zoe dearly, and Zoe would probably get a kick out of me seeing if they send me. They want Animal Crossing strategy guide. Give me. Playing for the first time, you start on the train. Yeah, I'm using the controller. Yeah, I love this game. The shop catalog secret code. Mail a letter, pay off your house. So end up bringing you to a bigger house. Back in the day when you started this game, it took hundreds of hours, but it's funny, Like right now, I just upgraded Chloe's house, paid for hers on the Switch version. I was telling Tone about that, the other day. Maybe I should. Oh, I guess my whatever happened. Let me see. I was hoping to see if there's a strategy guide. That'd be cool. Here we go. I don't need that. I can use the internet. I was actually hoping for the actual GameCube. Let's see. Got a GameCube one? Nope. Everyone you want to know for Kindle? Well, what if I want a hard copy of this? You see, this guy's got $4, but he's the bear is cranky. So he's probably looking at me like, what did the bear do this time? Is the bear hungry? No, the bear ain't hungry. The bear can't find something. I just want to see if it's available still. Like 3 book places I can go. See, this is something funny. Ah, here we go. Strategy guide. Nintendo GameCube. They're showing an island there. That's cool. Oh, yeah, there it is. See if we can do the DS version too. See, is there a DS version of it? Did Nintendo give us a DS version or did they cancel it? Yeah, there we go. The Wild World Guide. Doot, 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 doot. Me and my husband must put in like 600 hours on that. I mean, literally, you know. Do they have a 3DS version of it? No. New Leaf? Oh yeah, there it is. The New Leaf Prima Guide. $102. You know, I could see myself parting 102 for that. Just love that game, you know. Love that game. Well, what about the Wii? Is there a Wii version of this? Yeah. And there is a Wii version, but I don't know if there's a strategy guide. Let's put this on my watch list. You are now watching it. Cool. All right, here we go. So New World's only $10. Oh yeah, $23. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll take the Prima Guide for 23 quid. Yeah, Tone's probably sitting there mad at me, and he's like, 23 quid. Yep, it's a British term, quid. I don't know how they basically came up with that. Someone was basically thinking one day about squid, and it turns out it was 23 quid. 23 quid. You know, they're like, oh, what? You want 23 squid? Anyways. So for some of you out there, just remember, I'm going to be manning this for all. You're going to see multiple videos throughout the day and weeks and whatever, you know. Oh, hold on a sec. There's a new article just came out. Wow, another train one. See, it's finally trickling in right after 5:08. Traveler is scrambling as a possible freight railroad strike interrupts service along Amtrak's long distance route. Big deal. Negotiations are ongoing between unions and railroad companies. If they don't come to an agreement, first rail strike in 30 years will happen. Yeah, well, Amtrak is not involved in negotiations. Service has already been adjusted on tracks that could be affected by dispute. Long distance Amtrak trains are canceled starting Thursday, September 15th. No, the negotiations do not involve Amtrak workforce, Amtrak said. So why is Amtrak canceling service? Because they use the freight lines, rail lines. Amtrak is preemptively suspending some services because the tracks will be affected if freight rail workers go on strike. Amtrak operates in almost 21,000 route miles across the Northeast corridor and tracks owned, maintained, and dispatched by freight railroads. Passenger rail carrier said it would only operate trains this week that it can ensure it has enough time to reach their final destination by 12:01 a.m. on Friday, September 16th. Will Acela service be affected? No, Amtrak said most travel from the Northeast corridor, Boston, New York, Washington, would not be affected. The Acela would operate full schedule. Related branch lines of Albany, New York, Harrisburg, and Springfield also would not be affected. Expects minimal changes in the Northeast. So the Northeast corridor is going to be fine, people. Which routes are affected? Amtrak announced long-distance trains would be canceled starting Thursday. Some routes were suspended. Cancellations could be followed by impact on most state-supported routes, Amtrak said on Wednesday. Here's the breakdown. Suspended service, September 13th. Southwest Chief, Empire Builder, and California Zephyr. So, as of yesterday, the last train leaving Chicago, the Empire Builder, the California Zephyr, and the Southwest Chief, those three out of Chicago, Zoe's hometown, canceled, suspended. Suspended service as of today. City of New Orleans, Coastal Starlight, Crescent, Lakeshore Limited, Silver Star, Sunset Limited, Texas Eagle. Suspended service to Thursday the 15th. Auto Train Capital Limited, Cardinal, and the Palmetto. You can change your tickets or you can get a refund. Rail service not provided by Amtrak could be affected by a freight rail strike. Many passenger rail service operate on tracks owned by freight railroads, including Metro in Chicago. Wow, the Metro in Chicago. There goes Zoe's ride. And Maryland Transit MARC. More on that here, direct with local rail providers about the potential disruptions. So there you guys have it. Basically, find your other alternative way home. You like to fly, take the plane. You can go by boat, take the boat. If you don't like boat or flying, take the bus. At least, I forgot to make a joke. So, Amtrak, right, is suspending services because the rail thing, right? Well, if the government is going to cancel train service because people are stuck, right? And they're worried about number one worry, gas prices. Then think of it from this point of view. That would mean that eventually they'll have to cancel, but not limited to airlines and buses. That means if these engineers don't get what they want, they drag it out. Think of it this way. I just was thinking about this just now. The railroad industry could cripple public transit. Think about it. Think about it for a minute. Actually, I want to talk about that for a minute because it is an interesting concept. And you guys can sit there and say, what do you mean? Think of it. Think of it from my point of view. You see, the government turns around and tells you that there's a food shortage, right? And they're worried about fuel shortage. Well, maybe they're worried about fuel shortages because if people are stranded, say our beloved Zoe gets stranded, or Zoe's got people or doesn't know people. Let's just use Ducky as an example. So many people are traveling, and all of a sudden they get stuck at Chicago O'Hare Airport or Union Station or whatever their bus depot is, right? And all of a sudden the trains aren't running. The fuel at the pumps are gone. Then what happens? That means the buses stop running because there's no gas to run them. No gas to run them means it cripples more of the economy. You could sit there and say, well, I don't get it. Gas doesn't move. No gas, the trains don't run. No gas, the buses don't run. No gas. No gas. Then Zoe, stuck at home, living on her supplies that I told her to stockpile due to the fact that Uncle Sam can't get the supplies at the grocery store because she's stuck at home due to the fact that the government turns around and says, "We're sorry, we can't help you due to the fact that your groceries the store is empty, been picked clean, there's no fuel at the pumps." Therefore, Zoe goes out to the coffee shop, finds out, Ducky finds out that the coffee shop is empty due to the fact that there's no way to get the coffee brought in. And if there's no coffee brought in, for example, then she's got to walk all the way home. See where I'm going with this? And if she walks home, there is no train to get her home because there's no fuel. Maybe it's electrical grid. But then, think of it from that point of view. Yeah. So, you got the fuel shortages. You have fuel shortages because cause the busing line to not work, the rail lines to not work, the mass transit not to work, the Greyhounds not to work, the trucking industry. But literally, they're like, oh, it's going to cripple it? Maybe. But if they're basically putting oil first, then there's a problem. The government needs a backup system for food. I mean, literally, they can build more warehouses and store emergency food hubs. They just don't want to because they don't think a pandemic like this would happen all too often, but it could. So the bottom line is think about it. Anyways, it is 5:16 Eastern Standard Time. 2:16 Pacific Standard Time. I think I will take some time to break, play my game for a while, and see what trickles down the pipe. I hope you guys can stay tuned for a night edition because I'm going to be stoked for the night edition. So stay tuned for a night edition. In the meantime, please add and subscribe. Please post comments, leave feedback, suggestion, hit the like, subscribe button so it's fun for your family, including your dogs, cats, bunnies, service dogs, or service bunnies. Or hit the bell notification, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and leave the comments nice is all we ask, and God bless you in everything you do.